Good morning, good morning. Okay. 4 minutes, and I'm live on all the channels. We're on top of it today. Good morning, Liz. How are you? Hi, Bill. How are you? Gigi. Hi, everybody. Whoa. There's a whole new, sorry guys, I just swiped the comments over, you know, to see them bigger, and it just gave me all these weird things like, Bill, it shows me that you've sent gifts 8 times in the last 30 days, but no heart was sent to me today. That's so weird. I don't want to see that stuff. I want to see you guys' comments, not this crap. What are you doing, TikTok? Choose main current focus of your life. Share information? Achieve my live goal? No. Make live match fun? No. Light up my gift gallery? No. Engage with viewers? Sure. Engage with viewers. Fine. It still won't let it won't let it go away. Thanks, Lib. But it says no heart sent to me today. Sent Rose on your live 5/29/224. It's not even accurate, guys. I am so perplexed. Try chatting with viewers about the story behind their usernames. Guys, this is like TikTok. Go away. Stop ticking. Switch the main focus to view corresponding interaction. Ugh, and viewer tags. No, I don't want these things. I don't know what it means. But it's now in the middle of all my comments, and that's going to be really distracting. I'm going to have to figure out, it's not to figure out right now, we'll figure out later. But I definitely need to figure that out, because it's got little boxes in between all y'all's comments talking about what your history is of fucking sending gifts and hearts and shit like that. I don't want to see that. TikTok, I veto this new feature. It really sucks. It is only intended for people who are here to try to battle or get money or whatever, and that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing, and that's why TikTok doesn't like my shit sometimes. Lee, you've never seen my forehead wrinkle before? That's because I'm getting all furrow-browed. Yay, welcome, B. Okay, everybody. So it is a combo class today because we are doing the 40-day meat suit challenge, a 40-day Kundalini Kriya for addiction. So that is a 5-minute practice. It takes a couple minutes to get into it, a couple minutes to flow out of it. We will do that practice first so we can get it out of the way. And then we will go for our 30-minute gentle yoga flow. It's a chair yoga flow, and all you need is a place to put your butt. You don't need a mat, you don't need anything fancy, and as long as you've got a little bit of room to extend your legs and reach up and around and such, you should be good. If you don't have the room to do the different moves and whatnot, just modify a little bit and keep it in depending on, you know, how much space you have. Guys, at this moment, my eyesight is not good enough to see what's going on here. So I will trust my moderators to help me out today. Jackson, if you don't like the space, you can go somewhere else. And for anybody else, if you guys do not like your space, like hanging out in here, there's a million other places that you can go be. We encourage you to practice personal responsibility and make decisions that are wise for yourself, good for yourself. Don't choose to stay in a space you don't want to be in just to disrupt the space, right? You only agitate your own energy. All right. I'm actually really excited for this tiny yoga flow, so I need to slow down for a second so we can do the Kundalini. So we are on day 6 of our 40-day Meat Suit Challenge. Remember that you can start whenever you feel ready to start. If you want to dabble in the practice before you commit to the 40 days, I encourage you to do so. Otherwise, come join us for whatever day you're on today. So again, the practice is 5 minutes, but takes a few moments to get into. So the practice is done. We open with the Adi mantra. If you know the Adi mantra, you're welcome to join me in it or just listen. We say the Adi mantra 3 times, and then we lift our thumbs to our temples. To make sure that your thumbs are in the correct spot, gently clench the back molars. You should feel that little bounce underneath of the temples, underneath your thumbs. Remember, we're not poking holes through our temples. We're just making an intentional connection here. Keep the fingers curled into the hands and the palms facing forward. For the duration of the 5 minutes, with eyes closed, inner gaze up towards the third eye. If you can manage it, it can get really intense. If any part of the practice gets intense, remember to release that part of the practice and continue with whatever part you can. During the clench, the gentle clenching of the jaw, each time you clench, you say sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. For each clench. So, that's the duration of the practice. Make sure that as you are doing the practice, you are inhaling slow and steady, exhaling slow and steady. We will get the breath, the rhythm of the breath first, and then we will move into our practice. Okay, so for those of you joining for the Kriya, for those of you here for Tiny Yoga, just give us maybe 8 minutes or so to get fully situated through this, and then we will move into Chair Yoga. Go ahead and find a comfortable seated position for this Kriya. It is encouraged that you are seated upright. And we're just going to take a moment to take 3 deep breaths to arrive here for our practice. Go ahead and close the eyes and pull the breath in through the nose, through the lungs, and all the way into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. Big deep breath. And let it go. Inhale again to lift the heart and lift through the top of the head to elongate the spine. And exhale to relax the jaw, gently tuck the chin and allow the shoulder blades to melt down your back, releasing any tension remaining in the body. Seal the lips and take a few moments to follow the breath. This is where we find our comfortable, steady rhythm. And in these few moments, I encourage you to think about whatever it is that you're ready to let go of. Remember, this is the Kriya for addiction. And we refer to addictions as anything that we continue to choose that perpetually pulls us off balance. So take a few moments, set your intention for whatever you'd like to let go of, or just invite more alignment. Slow, steady rhythm. Find a comfortable rhythm so you're not trying to gasp for air after a few breaths. This rhythm should maintain you throughout the practice. Sustain. When you're ready to begin, go ahead and bring your palms together at the heart, and we will begin with our Adi mantra. Inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om And gently bring your thumbs up to your temples. Keep your fingers curled into your hands, palms facing forward. And go ahead and begin clenching with gentle clench, sa, ta, na, ma, for a full 5 minutes. Slow, steady breath. Turn the gaze up to the third eye. you finish your last round of mantra, go ahead and release the arms, release the clenching of the jaw. And pause for a moment to allow the practice to integrate into your system. Go ahead and release the breath. I'm just going to leave you guys here for a moment to integrate while I check on what's going on outside. All right, go ahead and bring your palms together at your heart, and we will close the practice again with the Adi mantra. 3 times. Inhale to begin. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Offer a moment of gratitude for the practice. Offer a moment of gratitude for that universal prana that flows through the path of least resistance in all moments to bring you to your highest good. Offer yourself some gratitude for showing up for today's Kriya practice, or if you're here for Tiny Yoga, congratulations, you did it, you showed up. Thank you so much for joining me for yet again another day of Kriya. And let's move right into Tiny Yoga. Go ahead and let go of your Kriya practice. Take a second to readjust, realign. And I think I didn't even turn on. Nope, Instagram. Instagram has been out of the loop the whole time. Oops. Hi, Jan, how are you? Good morning. Lee, thank you for nickel pressure. No more than the weight of a nickel. At work, glad you made it in. Hey, whoopsie Insta. Right, sorry Instagram, welcome to the party. But you are here for Tiny Yoga. Hey M to M, how you guys doing today? How is everybody doing there out in social media land? Okay, like I said, I'm just going to take a few moments to reset and make sure that everybody is actually online as they should be. And then we will move into Tiny Yoga. You're very welcome. Willow, 2 days, yay! I love your singing bowl sessions, by the way. Willow, where are you? If you guys want some singing bowls, this lovely gal plays lovely singing bowls. You have really beautiful bowls too. Pinned her at the top Thanks for joining me for that Kriya. Day 2. I'm on day 6, I think. Watch me, guys, because I definitely lose track in the middle of the Kriya. I definitely lose track. So, call me out if I'm on the wrong day. All right. I apologize, dog. You're not going to be able to stay there very long, although it's really cute how you're wrapped around the chair here.
Hi. Hi, dog. Did you need some pants?
Stop for dog pets. Grab some water.
Huh.
And then find a place to put your butt so we can do tiny yoga.
Are you ready? Are you ready for tiny yoga? Are you going to do your down dog? Maybe not.
All right, my friends. Once you've got your water, once you've given your dog and cat some scritches, stopping for the scritches. All right, go ahead and find the edge of your seat, and we will go ahead and move into our tiny yoga flow today. So, I'm excited about our flow. There's several reasons why I created this flow. 1, to amplify the Kriya, and 2, to go along with the mudra for the week. So we will practice our mudra at the very end, but today we're working on just opening up all the channels in our system, getting things unstuck, making sure that flow of prana is really moving through the full length of the body. So we're going to work a lot with the spine. We're going to work a lot with twists. Again, if anything is out of reach for you today, please honor where you are. We want to meet ourselves with curiosity, right? So if you find that there's a boundary that's a little bit tight today, something a little bit kinky, go ahead and just meet it with curiosity and let it be what it is. Let's not try to push past our boundaries today. There's a lot of places in the world where you can push and pull and fight and create tension. Not here. Okay, go ahead and just begin with feet, knees shoulder width apart, feet flat on the ground. Rest your palms in your lap, facing up. And just take a moment to follow the breath. Take a moment to settle into the breath. Find a nice, steady rhythm. And we'll do our best to match our movements with this breath. As you find a comfortable, steady rhythm of breath, I invite you to bring your awareness down into your feet. Press your right big toe gently into the ground and release. Press your left big toe gently into the ground and release. Press the right pinky toe gently into the ground and release. Press the left pinky toe gently into the ground and release. Press all toes on the right foot into the ground and release. Press all toes on the left foot into the ground and release. Right heel into the ground and release. Left heel into the ground and release. The outside of the right foot into the ground and release. The outside of the left foot into the ground and release. The entire right foot, press it into the ground. The entire left foot, press it into the ground. Both feet intentionally pressing into the ground. And release, trusting that you will remain grounded for this practice. We're going to go ahead and just slowly move up the body. So begin by pointing the toes and lifting the heels off the ground. And then dropping the heels back up and lifting the toes. We're just going to go back and forth, rocking the feet, heels up, and rocking the dog. Toes up, heels up, toes up, heels up, toes up, heels up, toes up, heels up, toes up. Ground the feet. And move into wiper knees. Make sure that you're getting the movement of the ankle and rolling the feet back and forth as you windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Adjust your hands as needed. You can rest them on your seat, on your hips, or on your thighs. Bring the knees back to neutral, shoulder width apart, and we're going to go into little hip lifts. So just lift your right hip off your seat and put it back down. Left hip off your seat and put it back down. Flow back and forth, just trying to move the hips here. Not a lot of the torso, just the hips. Up and down, up and down, up and down. With your palms facing down on your thighs, we're going to move into some cat-cow. I want you to move your hands with the cat-cow. So reach your hands all the way out to the edge of your knees, pushing your spine back, curl your tailbone in, tuck your chin, get the full length of your spine, pushing back. And then inhale, lifting the chin, sending the chest forward, tipping the tailbone out, and slide the hands in towards the hips. Big arch forward. Inhaling and exhaling back, pushing the hands back out towards the knees, full length of the spine, curving in. Inhale, pressing the chin up, chest out, pulling the hands in. Couple more like this. Curving the spine back. Inhale, curving the spine forward. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, get the shoulders moving with it. Inhale. One more. Exhale. Inhale. Come back to neutral and we'll move into torso circles. Now the intention here is to move the entirety of your spine, shoulders and everything, all the way into your tailbone as if you're stirring a soup inside of your pelvis. Stir the soup with a big ladle, the full length of your spine, moving the shoulders with it in one direction. It's okay if it kind of feels funky. We can have a lot of stuck stuff in our spine, so go the other direction. Intentionally moving every bit of your spine. Get into it. It's okay if it's not smooth. And come back to neutral. Interlace your fingers at your heart. Turn your hands up for a palm tree sway. Press the palms toward the ceiling. Inhale. And gently tip to the right. Stretching the side body. Inhale back up. Gently tip to the left, stretching the right side body. Inhale back up. Turn the torso to the left, just the torso. Keep those knees shoulder width apart, facing forward. Just turn the torso, and then release the arms, the front arm, right arm to the outside of your left knee, left arm behind you, to just rest in this twist. Big deep breath here, lengthen the spine. And exhale. Focus on the nice long spine. Inhale again. Exhale to gaze over the back shoulder. Inhale one more time. Exhale to slowly come back to center. Interlace the fingers at the heart. Press the palms up towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, turning just the torso, keeping the knees where they're at, to the right. Exhale to release the arms. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale. Inhale again. Exhale to gaze over that back shoulder. Inhale once more. Exhale, slowly come back to the front. We're going to move into some shoulder rotations, lifting your shoulders up and back, keeping nice long neck, long spine, lifting to the top of the head so you're not crunching your shoulders up to your ears. Rotating them forward, up and back. Go ahead and switch directions, sending them back, up and forward. Now intentionally bring both of those shoulders up to your ears as if you're trying to close your ears with those shoulders. Release the hands so they're down beside you, and then drop with a two more. Inhale them up, pull them up nice and tight. Exhale. One more. Go ahead and bring the arms up to cactus. We're going to do a little cactus flow with some cat-cow spinal movements. Inhale, arch the back a little bit, lift the chin, pulling back with the elbows. Exhale, bring the elbows together in front of you and curve the spine just a little bit, tucking the chin a little bit. Open the arms, chest forward, chin up. Exhale, close the arms, tuck the chin, slight arch in the upper back. Focus this in the upper back. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. Inhale, open. Exhale to close. Bring the palms together and reach up overhead. And then release your left arm, cross body to your right knee. Inhale, exhale, stretching into the right side body, opening the right side body. Inhale, back up, both hands up. Drop that right arm to the left knee, cross body. Extend through the spine and exhale as you stretch that left side body. Inhale, back up. Exhale to release the arm. Okay, we're going to go with a little flow here with the legs. So, interlace your hands underneath your right thigh. Inhale, lift your knee up to your chest, press it to your chest, lengthen the spine. Exhale, touch your forehead to your knee or give your knee some kisses. Inhale, bring the hands down to the hips and extend the leg. Flex the foot and extend the leg for a count of 5, 4, 3, long spine, 2, 1. Gently release down to the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale into a forward fold. Reaching the hands down to the floor, to the foot, and releasing the neck to rest here. Take 3 deep breaths in your forward fold. Sinking in deeper with each exhale, not by force, just by creating space. Last inhale. Exhale to slowly roll up. Bring that right leg back to a 90-degree angle at the knees, shoulder width apart. We're going to go for the left knee. Interlace the fingers underneath the left knee. Long spine, pull that knee up to the chest, squeeze, inhale. Exhale, kiss your knee or drop your forehead to your knee. Inhale, bringing the hands to the hips, lengthen the spine, flex the foot, and extend out for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently release, keeping the leg extended, heel to the ground. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to forward fold, reaching down for the leg, the floor, the foot, whatever's available to you. Then take 3 deep breaths here, sinking a little bit deeper into your fold with each exhale. Inhale to create space. Exhale to sink deeper. You can open the knee a little bit, open the bent knee a little bit if you want to get a little deeper. Last breath, inhale. And exhale, slowly rolling up. Extend both legs. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to tiptoe your fingers all the way down as far as you can go into your forward fold. Take 1 big deep breath here. Exhale. Now bring your left hand to the outside of your right foot. Inhale, drag your right arm up the length of your leg, open into a twist, into the right side. Breathe. Inhale again. Exhale to release back down to the fold. Pause for a moment here, big deep breath. And bring your right hand to the outside of your left foot. Inhale as you drag that left hand across your leg, upper body, all the way out to open into a twist to the left. Deep breaths here. Inhale. Exhale to release. Slowly roll back up. Roll the shoulders. Walk those knees back up to 90-degree angle. Again, shoulder width apart. Inhale again, lengthen the spine. Exhale into another forward fold, this time resting your torso on your knees, releasing the shoulders, releasing the neck, and just hang for several breaths here. Release any tension in the shoulders, neck, back, hips, using your legs to keep you upright. Nice strong foundation. Taking these deep breaths into the back body, making sure to expand the back of the rib cage as you continue to breathe. Use your thighs to help bring awareness to the movement of your rib cage. Inhaling, big deep breath, full. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, slowly roll up just a little bit, just enough to bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Lengthen the spine, tuck the chin slightly. Deep breath in, and exhale as you turn towards the left, tucking the right elbow on the outside of the left knee, gazing up towards the ceiling. Couple of breaths here. One more. Inhale. Exhale to release back to center. Lengthen the spine. We're not going back into the forward fold. Just hold here. Lengthen the spine using the abdominal muscles to hold you upright. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right, tucking that left elbow on the outside of the right knee as best you can. Gaze up towards the ceiling. Nice long spine. Deep breaths here. Inhale once more. Exhale to come back to neutral. Go ahead and come all the way up, keeping the hands in prayer. Lift the arms up overhead. And then release the arms for just a couple of pinwheel rotations. So it doesn't matter which direction you go, but go opposite direction with both arms, one way. You can go nice and slow at first, bringing intention to this movement, letting the arms meet above the head and crossing down towards the ground. Get your torso moving here. And next time your hands meet at the top, switch directions if you can. Oh gosh. I just confused myself. Both arms overhead, hands to touch, palms to touch. Turn the palms outward as best you can, back of the hands together. Swing the arms back and down. Then bring your hands together. Clasp your hands together behind your back, keeping them nice and low for a cobra. Inhale, lift the chin, press the chest forward, arch the back. Get the tailbone involved, tip your hips, waggle your tail back here. And then release the arms. And if you have it available to you, if you've got the back of the chair, go ahead and lean back into the back of the chair, and then bring the bottoms of your feet together, allowing your knees to fall open. Seated Shavasana. If you do not have a back of your chair, feel free to just lie down or prop yourself up. If you just don't have anything at all, then go ahead and bring the bottoms of the feet together, allowing the knees to fall open, and just bring an intention to your spine. Nice long spine. Again, if you can lay back, lay back. If it's not available, just keep your spine nice and long. We're going to take a couple of moments here and just breathe into this space. Release the arms, release the head, release the knees, release every kind of holding. Just listen to the breath. Take this moment to just bear witness to whatever is occurring within your system without any need to change or adjust or shame or blame or anything. Let whatever is there be there. Slow, steady breaths. Heard it said that Shavasana is actually one of the most difficult yoga poses because it requires you to let go of all tension. To truly practice Shavasana, there should be no tension anywhere in your body. So as you sit here, I invite you to start down at your toes and move up through your toes, feet, ankles, telling each part of your body to relax. Right foot, relax. Left foot, relax. Right knee, relax. Left knee, relax. Allow yourself to sink deeper without slipping off your chair. Right hip, relax. Left hip, relax. Relax both butt cheeks. Relax the low back. Relax the belly. Relax the rib cage. Relax the shoulders. All the way down the right arm, relax. All the way down the left arm, relax. Right hand, relax. Left hand, relax. Relax the shoulder blades, the upper back. Full length of the spine, all the way up through the neck and into the head. Relax your ears. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyes. Relax your face. Whole body relaxed. Allow yourself to just be with whatever sensations are occurring in the body. After all of that doing, let's just take a moment to be. If you'd like to add a mudra here, I encourage you to grab the Mahasirs Mudra. This is the mudra that we've been working with this week. This mudra clears up any tension, any congestion in the eyes, sinuses, head, ears. It works on tinnitus, it works on headaches, it works on sinus congestion, TMJ, jaw issues. It relieves tension everywhere, neck up. It's a very simple mudra to do. You just drop your ring finger into your palm, bring your thumbs to touch, bring the first two fingers to touch your thumb. So you make your little almost like shadow dog thing here. Keep that pinky extended. Ring finger is tucked into the palms. You can stay in your relaxed position. Hold your mudra for the next 5 minutes. Let this mudra do its work while you assist by intentionally releasing tension everywhere else in the body as well. We hold our mudras with intention, not tension. Okay, 5 minutes. Just release any thoughts, any worries that come to the mind when they arrive. Allow them to pass away with the exhale. Allowing yourself to just be in this space. Inviting the mudra to assist in releasing tension from the neck, head, jaw, ears, eyes. Inhaling the intention to just be present. Exhaling any tension remaining in the body. Stay present with the breath. Stay present with your inner landscape. Allowing everything that rises to fall again, just like the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Sinking deeper into Shavasana. Sinking deeper and deeper. Releasing layer upon layer of tension. Peel away the layers of your onion. Last minute. Stay with the breath. Slowly begin taking a big, deep breath in. Bringing your knees together. You can use your hands to assist if necessary, so as not to create more tension in the back. You can stay in your laying down position or seated, whatever's available to you. Bring your hands to your heart. And take a moment just to offer gratitude again for the practice. That prana that is always flowing through the path of least resistance to bring you to your highest good in every moment. Offer yourself some gratitude for taking the time for self-care today. Look at you, boo. And thank you for joining me in this CAYA space where we can learn and grow and thrive together. When you're ready to come out of this practice, please do so slowly. If you're doing this practice on your bed and you feel like just rolling over and taking a nap, I highly encourage it. If you are leaning back in your chair, please use your hands to support your body coming back up. Bring the chin in and gently lift. So again, as not to create new tension in your system. Juicy. What'd you guys think? I was really excited about that flow. Sir Dog, can I move the chair now? Oh, pets first.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yo, he was such a good dog while I did Tiny Yoga. Oh, he's such a good boy. Thanks. Thanks.
Go eat your breakfast now. Huh?
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you.
B, I'm glad you enjoyed it, love. How did it work in your space? I've seen your space, so I know how small your space is. Leb, I started on the side of the bed. I am now in bed. Wonderful practice. Beep boop awesome-o 5,000. B is absolutely amazing. I love this community. I love this platform in particular for this community. For those of you who are watching from elsewhere and haven't gotten to TikTok, please come on to TikTok. That's where we spend most of our time. And we've got an amazing community of folks over here. So my setup is all set up for me to be in the chair, but now I want to come sit with you guys, and I feel like I don't have a spot to sit. Perfect, sitting on your cooler. Ooh, nice. Hi, Legacy of Light. Hi, friends. All right. The Hermit Crab, you're very welcome. Stuff Tough, did you get your kiss your knees? So remember that we do tiny yoga every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Remember that we are also in the middle of a 40-day Kriya. So we are going live every day at 10 a.m. for the Kriya. So even our normal classes, which are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, will still start with that Kundalini Kriya. Leb, the cool kids are on TikTok and elsewhere, but definitely here. The reason, honestly, that I really have focused most of my attention on building our community on TikTok is because you guys can download the content for free. I don't know a lot of other places, other platforms where you can just freely download the content without having to pay for some other service. And so that's really important to me, right? That's really important to me. And the level of engagement here in the chat is also really nice. So I know that there are a lot of TikTok naysayers out there. Oh, babe. B says, my congestion started releasing with that mudra. I've been struggling for days. My friends, I have mudras for that. If you have things, reach out to me. Come into the Discord or comment on my content and be like, help! I have a headache. Help! Congestion. Help! I've got gas. Help! I'm constipated. Help! I'm moody. Help! I'm hungry. Help! Just come to my content and yell help and ask me about the mudras, and I'll make you stuff. Make you videos of mudras. It helps me make content too. That said, just as a reminder, we are over 10,000 followers here on TikTok, which means the educational content can pay for itself. Yay! So if you guys will do me a favor, as I know you already do, engage as much as you can, share as much as you can, interact as much as you can, especially your questions, because those, again, help me make video content that adds to the platform. So if we can make the videos, the content pay for itself, that is the ideal, right? Bill, grapes sound delicious. You want to know what I am eating? Or was? I've had less than about half of a flax chocolate chip thing. It's not quite a cookie. Tastes more like a muffin top and oatmeal. B. I'm so grateful for you, sister. It's like a protein pick. No, it's not. No, it's not a protein puck. It's like flax, vegan, whatnot. I'm not vegan, but I reduce, animal products in my diet. And it's because I had flax in them. I tried it because it had flaxseed in it. But no, it's not intentionally like a protein thing. I want to sit with that for a second, B. My more recent practice for myself has been recognizing that I'm actually still not great at accepting gratitude or compliment. So I just want to sit for a second and I want to say it out loud to practice sitting in it. The things we do to ourselves. B says, and it makes me uncomfortable. B says, you have been truly integral on my journey, and I so appreciate every bit of energy you bestow here. I've had this channel now for a little over 2 years, and I was really, really, really hesitant to put myself out at first. In fact, if you go scroll way back in my content, you will see those initial videos where I was like shaky, uncomfortable, awkward, holding my face. Like, it was really difficult for me to start to put myself out there. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of just like a lot of stuff I had to wade through to start sharing. But the truth is that the truth of who I am, right, is that I'd be sharing this information wherever we are. If we were in the park having dinner together, if we ran across each other in the grocery store and you were stuck looking for something and they happened to say something out loud, I'm that stranger who'd be like, oh, let me tell you, let me show you. Oh, let me show you how to muscle test. Here's a mudra for that. And I was really nervous because social media is not a place I like to hang out. Social media is often full of divisive rhetoric. It's full of ego pandering. It's full of sensationalized information and radicalized ideas and all this stuff. And I know that that's on purpose. I know that that's by design for a variety of reasons, right? It's actually why I still really don't engage on Facebook, because it's one of the places where that's really, really prevalent too. But for all the hate that TikTok gets, I have had more encouragement. I have met more real, genuine people who are in my inbox saying thank you, who I can send a message to or tag in a video and they're going to engage. It's not this like, there's fewer degrees of separation. And it feels much more like genuine connection and genuine interaction. And I'm so grateful. Like I said, we got over 10,000 followers only by sharing information. I didn't do any follow trains. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff because I really wanted to build this following based on people who really wanted the information. Swim the shit internet river. Welcome to the field. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to do, but I feel like we can do, I can do it more successfully here on TikTok. And also the response that I've gotten from sharing information. What's funny is the same content that I share here on TikTok is what goes on pretty much all the other platforms, or at least did at first. And those other platforms are still real slow, real lagging. Like some of those videos, especially the ones where I'm sharing mudras or I'm sharing breath work or I'm sharing a particular technique, it's like those get lagged. The educational content that gets all the attention and gets moved around on TikTok gets just like hidden on these other platforms. So I don't know what it is, but the opportunity to be seen in my honesty, in my messiness, in my shenanigans, in my weirdness, and to not receive the same backlash just for existing as I do on other platforms is just I can't say enough actually how grateful I am, because a long time story for me was not being able to speak up, right? Wounding for me was not being able to speak up, was not being able to show up and feel safe in a public setting. My Chiron is in my 12th house, if you're curious, in Gemini. So this was something that I really, really, really want to do, right? I feel compelled to do. For those of you who know me, you know that my name was given to me when I was born, even though I had another name supposed to be given to me. And the story, the biblical story of Deborah is such that she is a judge and she sits beneath a tree and people come to her for assistance, for guidance, for support, for advice, for mediation, for what have you. And I remember when I was a little girl in Catholic school learning, Catholic, like Bible study kind of school, learning about her, learning about the story there. And I remember seeing that and going, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to be able to, can I make that a career? Can I just sit there and have people come and ask me questions and I'll just share the information that I have? Turns out I can. Hi, TikTok. The algorithm cares about engagement. Yes, it does on TikTok. Less so because they're messing with it. But your light gives us permission to shine ours time and again. You are so appreciated, sister. I love you too, son. I love you too, sister. I love you too. And I'll keep doing it. I'll keep showing up. The more you guys encourage me, the more of this you're going to get. So, fair warning. Leb, yes, your Chiron is in Gemini too. Funny that we're both doing something similar, isn't it? Stevia Ray Love. Ray is Catholic also. Badass blind woman. I'm still trying to get out of that space of not being able to share. I'm determined though. You know, somebody said the other day, and it's really ringing in my head, this idea of to be authentic, to be ourselves authentically, and to truly take responsibility for that is bigger, I think, sometimes than some of us recognize, because it really truly means accepting all of who you are. And accepting all of who somebody else is. You don't have to let people in your life that don't jive with you, that don't vibe with you. But authenticity is really about learning to accept every piece of ourselves. And we're so used to judging ourselves and putting ourselves down and struggling with self-image that, in all honesty, authenticity is kind of fucking scary. It means you gotta own it all. And so each one of these little moments where I go, no, I don't know if I want to share, I don't know, I remind myself, what am I going for? Do I want to make decisions out of fear? Or do I want to make decisions out of authenticity? And if it was something that I wanted to share, that I felt like sharing, then why not fucking post it? Because they'll judge me because this and that, because this and that. And if they do, it gives me the opportunity to sit with it and allow that shit to roll over my shoulders instead of ping around inside of me. It offers me an opportunity to be curious about my emotional triggers and say, huh, interesting. Hi, big feeling, how are you? It's okay. Practice the remembering that everybody's statements or judgments are just projections of how they judge themselves and see the world. And Leb, yeah, for me it's a weird tension between wanting to be fully seen but struggle to accept praise for being me. What a funny, like, what an interesting line we walk, right? I want to be seen. I want to share, right? We want community. We want family. We want our tribe. We want to thrive. We want to show up as we really are. But again, there are so many parts of us that are like, eat, but I can't accept appreciation. But I'm worried that they're going to make fun of me. But I'm worried that it's going to come out wrong. I might fuck up. But authenticity is accepting when you fuck up too. Damn. John being authentic about the fear to be authentic. Yes. Yes. That's why it's itself is kind of a scary thing, right? It's kind of a nerve-wracking thing. Oh, kitten. Kitten. These cats have become really, really good mousers. I keep finding big fucking rats in pieces in my yard. Thanks. Thanks, cats. Pooty Toots, hey, how are you? Kitten. Come here, Mark. Kitten. Kitten. Come here. You don't have to Aw. Hey. Kitten. Come here. What are you screaming about? You're actually doing all right? That's good. That's good. Anybody want a kitten? Anybody want a kitten? I've got 3. Oh! Leb, it's odd to be admired and appreciated for admitting you're scared. It's so, and I've been dealing with it. So like, a year and a half ago, I made a video, my first video, doing even a mini yoga flow, like just a couple of poses. And I was so afraid of sharing it, not even realizing I had body issues. Like, I didn't even really think about it until I went to post it. And I was like, oh no. And I was critiquing these tiny little bits about the way that my body looked on camera in that thing. And of course, I was doing it on purpose, right? I didn't do that on purpose. I saw that, heard that, and was like, oh, wow, you're going to have to post that anyway so that you can work through that body dysmorphia stuff. Hey, Dee, how are you? Legacy of Light, welcome. Found me on TikTok and you're here doing the 40-day Kriya. Awesome, awesome. The 40-day Kriya is a really powerful practice. What day are you on, Legacy of Light? Remember, folks, for those of you who are doing the Kriya practice, the 40-day meat suit challenge of our Kundalini Kriya for addiction, there is a workbook, a reflection workbook that I created. It's on my Patreon page. It's just $10. If you are a member, it is even cheaper because members get automatic discounts. But it is like a 45-some page digital download that has 2 questions for each day. One is a reflective question, and the other one's explorative. So you can reflect on the practice and then explore a little deeper into the practice. What's cool about the workbook is that it also has an explanation of the mantras and of Kriya Yoga itself and such like that. So it's got a little more information in it. That is on my Patreon page, /move with change. Patreon.com /move with change if you want that. But I definitely suggest joining us in the Discord as well. Even if you don't want the reflection thing, we can still use the Discord space for reflection. I'm doing well, Dee. Thank you. Tyler, do you ever feel... Oh, do I ever feel drained from doing too much sadhana? No. I don't make a big sadhana practice until that practice finds me, right? Forcing a long sadhana is setting myself up for struggle, right? Whereas instead, if I fart my day with 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, then I'm setting myself up for success, right? So I keep my sadhana to a very simple daily practice. Most days I add to that practice. Most days there's more. But my foundational practice is just a 5, maybe 10-minute practice that I start every morning. But again, most days I get more than that, so that I don't get tired. Again, the point here, right? The point, if we're rebuilding trust with ourselves, we have to show up for ourselves every day. Every day is all you, right? Today is all you have. Today is the only day you've got. So if I'm really going to build trust, especially with the delicate, vulnerable parts of myself, I have to make the time for myself every day. It's been a foundational piece of the way that my practice has grown and shifted once I started showing up for myself every day. Once I started sadhana every day. It changed a lot. It changed a lot in like not just my practice itself, but even in my ability to meet myself in the moment when I was out in public or dealing with some stressful situation or whatnot. So if you don't have a daily practice, I encourage you start with 5 minutes. Start with just 5 minutes and spend those 5 minutes truly just listening to your inner landscape, holding space for yourself, and whatever comes up, meet it with curiosity and willingness. Sometimes we put ourselves in a situation where we just stack on a whole bunch of things and we're like, I need a total overhaul, right? I need major healing. So let me stack myself an hour-long practice every morning and let me push and strive to make sure that I hit all of those markers every single day. When we do that, we cause tension if it's not truly available in our lives already, right? And then we end up going, oh, I can't do it. I can't do a daily practice. Well, you set yourself up with an hour plus daily practice. Yeah, that might be a little hard at first. We can instead be gentle. We can instead just start really simple. 5 minutes. Dee, you've been using the prayer I sent you last year. Yay. I gotta go look that one up again. I remember which one I sent you. I just don't remember all the pieces of it. What is your daily practice? How do you show up for yourself every day? When we show up for just a few minutes, right? Just those 5 minutes. What's funny is that a lot of times we end up going, well, I want 5 minutes more, and maybe a few more, and maybe a few more, right? And then we end up inviting a 15, 20-minute practice when we have the space for it. Again, there's so many places in the world where we can push and pull. You're going to have to go for a while, maybe back. Oh, Leb, have a great day. There are a lot of places in the world where we can push and pull and fight, and we can create tension, right? Places that tell you have to struggle, you have to strive, you have to fight with yourself. You have to set strict rules with yourself. You know what? It's opposite. It's opposite. This is something that I wanted to touch on for a little bit. It's opposite. When we set all of those strict things up before we are actually ready for them, we create tension and we set ourselves up for failure. But when we start very small and invite whatever practices come to us, we are creating space for it. And if I start with 5 minutes every day, that 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes. And I can do that not by force, but by cultivating the space for it within me, right? It's like trying to quit a habit that you don't want to continue. If you've ever tried to change the brain by force, you know it's really hard to do. But this Kriya is an example of the way that we can create space for the changes we want in our lives. Tiny yoga. We create space. We explore our inner cosmos, meet whatever comes up with gentleness and compassion. And in this way, we create a more fluid, graceful, present state of being. Derek, the fear of being ostracized from the tribe. By nature, we are pack animals. By nature, our physiology expects to be around other people, connected to other people, close to other people. Yet, many of us don't have that. Many of us don't have that. And I spent a lot of my life traveling around trying to find it. Community, connection, tribe, like literally going to other countries and other places and like going all around the world trying to find my tribe. I even have a really cool art piece that I did. Where is the home inside myself? Was the question that I started asking myself after years of traveling the world and finally realizing that there's nowhere outside of me that I'm going to feel at home. There's nowhere outside of me that I'm going to feel accepted until I actually accept me first. Again, how am I going to show up authentically if I am currently compartmentalizing and judging myself? I'm not. I'll go show up authentically in that space of authentically compartmentalizing and shifting myself and judging myself, right? But the willingness to be wrong, the willingness to take responsibility for ourselves, the willingness to make mistakes and be seen in our messy moments, it's more terrifying when we are already judging those messy moments. Tyler, you say you need Shakti by your side 24/7. She's only available to you every few days. I'm curious why you feel like you need a counterpart by you 24/7. Otbot, I get easily overwhelmed being around people, but maybe there is people who can fill my cup instead of drain it. So actually, it's really important for us to figure out how to fill our own cups. Truly showing up in tribe or community, right, does require us to know how to take care of ourselves, us to know how to fill our cups. Most of us are engaging in an energetic push and pull in our daily lives with all of our relationships, with our situations, with our jobs, with our partnerships, with our kids, with ourselves. We are engaged in this epic push and pull of energy on the material plane. But that is not actually what fills our cup, and our systems are not meant to be run on somebody else's finite energy. Our systems are run on the infinite prana that flows through everything in the universe. They resonate at that place, and when we make that connection and fill our cup, fill our energy body, what does that mean to fill my cup? Align my energy body, to clarify my energy system, to open my energy system so it's nice and big and expanded and vibrating, right? So that I can hear what my system needs and meet those needs as they come up, as it is appropriate to meet them. If I hang my hat of happiness, love, security, of anything on somebody else, then I will forever be victimized by whether or not they choose to give me what I'm asking from them. Taking full responsibility for myself is taking full responsibility for every one of my needs and not expecting another person to satisfy a single one. I really like this story of, it's a brief story, of a prince and a princess from two separate kingdoms. And they wanted to be married, and both the prince and princess wanted to marry each other. But the prince said, I want you to come and live in my castle, and we will, live there happily ever after. And the wife said, well, I have one condition. That's my one condition is that I live in my castle on this hill over here, and you live on your castle on that hill over there, and we will occasionally come together and meet in the middle for tea. Now, what that was talking about was I'm me and I bring me in my wholeness to this relationship. And you bring you in your wholeness to this relationship, not as some energetic puzzling of I can't be me without you. Or you can't be you without me, right? That kind of thing. Or we're going to just sit in our push and pull of energy, trying to push and pull to get our needs met from each other. But this is a finite thing. It's like eating junk food versus whole food. When I am taking energy from other people through my relationships, through codependency, through aggression, right? Or through weaponizing my energy in any way, I am eating junk food. I am filling my system with something that's a finite resource, right? It's like eating candy to get a sugar rush instead of protein to get a extended fuel for the system. Tyler, in regard to Shakti, your statement earlier, it says if it's reflected of your sadhana. When Shakti is flowing, I feel like I can go forever. Tyler, I would encourage you to practice. I'm sure you do. I mean, it sounds like you have a regular practice, but things like Nadi Shodhana or chakra breath, where you're inhaling the front, exhaling the back kind of deal, like really focusing on balancing the Shiva Shakti energy, the lunar solar energy in the system, because all of our systems are intended to have that solar lunar energy flowing through us. And if you feel like that Shakti energy, that lunar energy is deficient in your system, then I encourage you to do more of building that up. If you do yoga at all, I'm a big fan of the Chandra Namaskar, right? Surya Namaskar, yeah. The moon flow. Where's my words today? All right, there you go. B, I'm over here clapping and crying and all the spicy brain things. Your words are so eloquently real. Aw, love. You're making me take compliments today, and I'm okay with it. I'm going to get out of the sun. It's blinding me. Trying to reposition here. Hold on. Come on, everybody. What do you want to bet something crashes and falls? Huh? No, I'm literally sitting right in the sun now. Good job, Dee. Good job. If you hear a big crash, I'm okay. Don't. Can I scoot back? Do-do-dog. 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 Hi, Brian. Holly. Holly. So that's what we're talking about. The finite filling of our cup by using other people's energy, by stealing energy from a finite reality. We are in a finite reality. This matrix stuff appears to be finite. It's the nature of the matrix, right? My breath inhales and exhales. My consciousness is awake and asleep, right? My life, I'm born, I live, I die. My digestion, I consume something, it processes and then leaves my body. Everything in this life is finite. Every bit of that. Now we have that universal prana that flows through everything, right? That's that infinite spark. That's that infinite peace. That is the fuel that resonates through my system, that aligns and clears my system. Brian, hun, welcome. This is a CAYA space. CAYA, C-A-Y-A, stands for Come As You Are, because we encourage everybody to show up and practice authenticity. Authenticity, remember, is the recognition of value of self and other. So when we in practicing authenticity, we do our best to meet each other with curiosity and willingness rather than with condemnation or divisive rhetoric or whatnot. That said, this is a space where I'm sharing my story, I'm sharing my perspective. I invite your perspective as well and conversation about those things. But if you choose to be disruptive in the chat by forcing your perspective or demanding that demanding my attention, yet you don't read I read your comment, friend. I didn't have anything to say in response. In this space, we practice personal responsibility. This is ultimately my space, and I get to decide where the boundaries are in this space. And I definitely will not respond to somebody who's demanding my attention or demanding that I answer them or demanding that I am wrong or whatnot. It is not your place to come into my space and tell me that I'm wrong. If you want to have a personal discussion about differences of opinion, different views, come into our Discord. We can do that as a community. But it's not productive in this space to just use the chat to go, nope, 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 wrong, sorry. If you would like to go live, I would love to come and listen to your perspective. I really love to listen to somebody's perspective, especially if it's different from mine. That's how we get to see all different angles of the elephant, right? But please be personally responsible enough to take your opinion to your space if you feel so strongly about it, that you feel like you need to convince other people or that you want to tell other people about it, right? Thank you very much for being responsible. And if you cannot be personally responsible, we will go ahead and mute you. It'll be muted for just the live. You're welcome to come back again and try again. Because like any classroom or temple or church, this is a public space. You are welcome to come in here. But again, like any of those spaces, if someone comes in and is disrupted, they are ushered out until they are personally responsible enough. That's how you get kicked out of this. Later. See you later, Brian. Have a good day. I'm going to have some more of my flax oatmeal cookie thing. The push and pull of energy like that, when we feel like we need to impress our opinion on other people or our perspective, it is an attempt to pull energy from people, pull finite energy. It is often an indication of an imbalance in our system. It is our imbalances that cause us to push and pull from each other, to try to get energy from finite places. Imagine if you didn't have access to clean water and fresh food and whole food, right? You would be getting whatever you could possibly get to fill your system with energy. We live in a culture that has taught most of us how to close off our systems, how to turn away from our systems, how to not listen to our systems, how to deny the processes of our systems. And when that happens, we will perpetually be operating in imbalance until we start to align ourselves and get that universal prana, that frequency that's already flowing through you. It's already flowing through you. If you are alive, that stuff is flowing through you. It is resonating from you. The thing is if it is not open, resonant channels, then that energy is going to be compacted. So if you're feeling stressed or vulnerable or out of alignment, a lot of times it means that your aura, your energy field is being pulled in. Tension pulls in that energy field. Do you feel the tension when you argue with somebody? Do you feel the tension when you need to impress your opinion, right? That kind of stuff. That tension is an indication that I am operating out of balance. B, the mudra for this week is called the Mahasirs Mudra. Mahasirs. I have seen it spelt another way that's a little bit longer, and I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. But it is done like so. For those of you interested, drop your ring finger into your palm. You can do it with one or two hands. And then bring your index and middle to touch your thumb, tucking that ring finger into your palm as best you can, and then extend the pinky finger again as best you can. This is the mudra to release tension, pretty much neck up. From the jaw to the ears. It can treat tendinitis, headaches, migraines, sinus congestion, eye muscle tension, anything in the head, neck, ears, upper neck. And because it relieves tension in our minds and in our brains and in our physical body, this also helps to clear the brain, clear the mind, relax the brain, right? Spiritually starving us, Sarah, yeah. Ottbot, how do you repel that kind of person? Really great question. You don't. You don't repel that kind of person. What is repelling? Pushing. Everything, most of everything, a lot of what we practice in here, the foundation of what we're practicing in here is not to engage in the push and pull. That is finite energy. That means I'm in the story. That means I'm operating in the matrix. That means I'm engaging with finite materials. Energetically, emotionally, cognitively, physically, these are finite materials. Hey Brian, happy Friday. So how do we protect our systems from energy vampires, from people pulling energy from us, from people trying to energetically fight for our resources? We align our system. The more aligned and clarified your system is, the less tension is in your system, the more expanded your system is. The more expanded and vibrant your system is, the basically bigger your boundaries are. Right? The easier it is for that energy to just kind of like go around or through over here, and you're like, nah. It doesn't even really get to you, right? Another way to say it is that you just resonate yourself above it, right? Authenticity is the highest frequency that we can measure emitted from the system. So authenticity is way the fuck up here, and greed or whatever is way down here, right? Or anger or frustration or whatever, this kind of energy density down here. If my energy is like right here and the person is pulling from here, this is going to be more of an engagement happening, right? I'm going to be more privy to that energy, feeling that energy because I'm so close to it. If I'm way up here and my boundaries are much bigger, I'm not even so close to it, and it's not going to affect my system in the same way that if my energy is pulled way in and somebody just like pokes into my system and boom. Derek, you say that I feel my need is finding myself through connection, through fellowship at the moment, in a way where I'm doing the work to understand myself by reflecting with others, if that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. And this is how we build community. This is how we build tribe. This is about authenticity. It's about cultivating personal responsibility, right? To be able to find yourself through connection means being willing to be vulnerable. The hard part for most of us is in the past, when we've been willing to be vulnerable, we've often found ourselves in situations with people, or have chosen to be vulnerable with people or in situations that were not actually very supportive of that vulnerability. So what I love about our CAYA space and our CAYA community is that we are genuinely coming together with the intention of showing up honestly and meeting each other with curiosity and willingness. So we are doing two things: cultivating personal authenticity, and then recognizing the importance in cultivating the skills to hold space for other people's authenticity. It's that process is going to bring us all to more authenticity while we also build trust within that community. And when things go awry or somebody gets triggered or whatnot, we can come together again and work through that energy, work with that energy. I fully intend, as long as I don't overcommit myself, to create a space in the Discord to teach nonviolent communication. Preferably, I would like to actually create a space with a regular practice session where we practice things like nonviolent communication, where we practice the actual communication tools, how to communicate what I truly want and need, how to reflect to somebody in a way that isn't accusatory or weaponizing my energy. Many of us don't have those skills. I had to go to school to find those skills. So not having them is not like a, oh, poor me, I didn't do a good job. No. Our culture, literally, and like the platforms of social media and all that stuff, right? They don't encourage quality communication. They encourage divisiveness. They encourage exaggeration. They encourage like sensationalize. They encourage ego driven stuff. So it's not surprising that a lot of us don't know how to do that, right? But again, in my personal responsibility, I can acknowledge that I might not have the skills that allow me to be in community. What if I'm showing up authentically in community and yeah, I can recognize that I don't have the skills. If I acknowledge my ignorance, I give myself the opportunity to learn and grow. If I deny my ignorance, I'm going to close myself off to learning anything about that thing. Ben, really good question. Okay. How do I know what my authenticity is? Because how have I been acting all my life is a collection of habitual acts reinforced by my beliefs and perceptions. Ben, you've been in here for a while, right? We've talked about the energy system, how it develops, how the brain and body develop as we're young, and how all of those habitual acts reinforced by beliefs and perceptions, and how our culture gives us all of those things, right? All of that stuff happens when the body and the brain are to some degree unconscious. That is the growing part. That is the acquiring and absorbing piece. Is it authentic? It is authentic by degrees. Because in my ignorance of anything besides me operating this way, it is the most authentic expression that I can have. However, I'm unaware of the imbalances and the habitual things that are throwing me off. And so my authenticity, again, if the scales are tipped, then my measurement is always going to be askew. So if my scales are tipped and I've got a real big deficiency here, I'm very well may not make life choices that are true to my aligned whole self. But they will be true to my imbalanced self. So when we seek authenticity, we are seeking an aligned system to allow our true resonance to come through. What's my true resonance? That is a balanced system. Remember, I talk about this also like an instrument. So if this is my guitar and I'm singing songs all my life with like this string out of tune and this one over here, and I can't get my finger on that one quite right, like my song is going to sound really weird, but it's still going to be my song. Until I learn to tune my guitar in such a way that I find, you know how when you're tuning your guitar, right? You pluck that string and it's flat, 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 flat until, and it resonates. Notice what that does? That ripple is a frequency, right? And it expands outward. So my aligned frequency is an expansive frequency. It creates space for me to open, creates space for my system to expand. It creates space for my system to remain flexible and fluid so that life can continue to flow through me. When I am imbalanced, there is tension in my system that will pull me off from that highest resonance, from that most pure resonance. I'm trying to find the right words, right, for the pure note, for the note to hit. So Ben, I think it's more about consciousness, about becoming aware, right, of our balances and imbalances. And when we were unaware, we are operating in our ignorance, and so not entirely in our authenticity.
Mom?
Honey, good morning. I'm teaching class. You have laundry to do, some dishes to do. I don't want to have a discussion with you, especially after yesterday. Thank you. So that's it too, Ben, right? Accepting where we are in the moment, accepting ourselves for our imbalances is also authentic, recognizing where I'm ignorant and being honest about it and moving through that, because then I can align myself further, right? So it's just becoming more conscious of these subtle layers of self, of those programs, of those habits, and then we clear shit away. You know, if my divine spark, if my resonance, if my song is meant to be a pirate ship, I'm gonna jump here for a second. My song is meant to sound a particular way. And that may mean that my manifestation in this reality is a pirate on a pirate ship, and that's what I'm supposed to be. That's what I'm supposed to be. Now, if I grow up in a society who says, pirates are bad, you're not allowed to break the rules, you're not allowed to do what you want, you're not allowed to go out and adventure, you have to stay in and join the military and do what we say and act like this and stay within our club. If you step out of line, then you're bad, right? Then by all of those messages, as an attempt to survive, all of those messages are going to cover up my truth. So instead of my pirate ship, we're going to be putting armor on the sides here and changing the mast into something else and anchoring it on shore and turning it into something that's not the truth, the core of that self, right? So when my system fully comes online and I start to do the reflective work and I start to do the spiritual work and I start to dig a little deeper, then when I find those layers that other people, my society, my parents, my situations when I was a kid, that got put on top of my ship, I can start taking them away. Right? If I want to drive a convertible through life, a little red convertible, and my parents and my society gave me a huge tank because it's not safe to be in the world. It's not safe to be vulnerable. It's not safe to be free and have fun and let your hair blow in the wind, right? You've got to fall in line and do these things. So then my system is going to be layered with all of these different protections, all of these different ego aspects to help keep me safe. Even if that me is still a convertible driving, long hair in the wind kind of gal, that's my authentic truth. And to discover that so I can resonate at that, I've got to get through all the other layers of what my culture, parents, friends, whatever, put on top of that. Some of us don't have a lot of layers put on top of our core self because we had the space to truly be ourselves and express that. The rest, some others, we have a fuck ton of shit on top of it, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend my entire life peeling away all these fucking layers that my society and my family and everybody put on top. It's as a means of protection. Remember, my system used these as a means of protection. So I can acknowledge that that's a benefit. Thank you very much, right? Good job, system. You protected me when I was unconscious. Now that I'm conscious, it's my turn. It's my turn to do it. Bot, I'm on a journey to find my authenticity. I've been masking and can't anymore, so I stay away from people until I can navigate that. It's good to take time for ourselves, and it's important not to isolate too far, right? Just be mindful. And bot, come join us in the Discord if you want a space that you can reach out to compassionate people, to people who will meet you with curiosity and willingness. You can always reach out to me. I do my best to respond to messages, especially if it's somebody just needing an ear or needing somebody to, needing some reassurance. I'm here for it. Yeah, absolutely. You're not alone. Even more so. You're more connected than you probably realize, right? We're more connected than we realize. Faye, thank you for your question. Sorry it took me a minute to get to you, but you said, what's your best takeaway from your spiritual journey? I saw another creator do this, and now I'm going to try to remember to do this. I'm going to pin the comment that I'm answering so I don't have to lose all the comments. What's my best takeaway from my spiritual journey? Actually, it was the most frustrating reality, I think, of my spiritual journey, was that I found out, I guess, that the things that my mother said were true. Things like, you won't know love. You won't be able to find love until you love yourself first, right? If you create a battle within yourself, if you create an enemy of yourself, it is a battle you will fight every day, and that will turn into a war that you will fight for your entire life long. That ultimately, everything really does happen inside of us. And so, every time I have felt victimized, right? I realized through my spiritual journey, through my path, that I am less of a victim than I believed myself to be.
And that's actually empowering. I can love myself for being ignorant and thinking that I was powerless. And I can cultivate the strength and awareness to make choices that are more true to my intentions, true to my authenticity. That truly I am responsible for the choices that I make. And the only reason that I haven't been able to exercise that personal responsibility is out of ignorance. So again, I accept and offer compassion to myself for the places that I was ignorant and the times that I operated out of ignorance. And I can offer compassion to myself for the places and the ways that I continue to operate out of ignorance, knowing that this is a path, knowing that this is a journey, knowing it's a lifestyle to meet yourself every day with compassion and to take full responsibility for who you are, the choices you make, and where you get your energy from and what you're doing with your energy. Pootie Toots, yes, I've always felt I found my authenticity by delving into what sets my heart on fire. Great passion. So actually, that's a really good indication of authenticity. People are wondering, where is authenticity? What is authenticity? So again, it's that song that I'm supposed to sing, right? The resonance that my system is intended, the song my instrument is intended to sing. For some of us, we know what that is. We feel that in our lives when we engage with artwork, singing, teaching for free online, working with kids, working with animals. We find the alignment when that happens. We feel the expansion when that happens. We feel the flow when that happens, and then we feel the way that time and space literally bend around us having this experience of authenticity. If you have something in your life that really gets you into it, then it may well be, I take it, follow it to the core of your authentic self. Great passion. And what did you say? It sets your heart on fire. I love the way that we accidentally, unintentionally speak truths through our limited language. When I was a little girl, the vision that I got was that we each come in with a golden nugget. Right? It was like a little golden nugget or a little golden flame. It was this little bright, shiny thing within us. And this is the gift that we each have to give to the world. This is the note that I'm intended to sing. My song, right? My purpose, my passion, my heart, my truth, my authentic self. And when those things, when we're growing, put us off balance, make us feel unsafe, then we begin to encapsulate this. We begin to hide it underneath layers of ego characters and defenders. Why? Because this is precious. This is my most precious thing. This is my treasure. This is my spark of divinity that I am tasked with protecting and delivering to the world. This is my piece of God to bring into the world. This is my message from Christ, right? And each of us have that. And you can feel it when you tap into it. Hi, Mullet Cookie. I love you too. Ben, I have a good idea on how I want to show up in the world, but sometimes I act on my emotions. Part of me feels like I'm being controlled by my emotions at times. So that is about, again, that's about, hold on, let me pin you again there. And Badass Blind Woman, I'd agree. I've learned that these painful experiences aren't happening to us, they're happening for us. And the shift that I made years ago was that life is not happening to me, it's happening through me. And that reminds me to work on, to maintain a kind of flexibility through curiosity and willingness, to clarify my systems so that life can literally move through and around me versus hit me like a fucking freight train, right? The more rigid, the more staunch, the more I hold tight to my ignorance, the more the changes of life are going to hit me like yeah. But if I can bend and I can sway and I can maintain that flexibility, then life can move through me. That energy can move through me. The energy that's intended to move through me, and the energy that's flowing through this current reality that we're in. Not going back, how are you? Okay, so Ben, you say part of you feels like you're being controlled by your emotions at times. I like to think of, let's put about it this way. Let's put it this way. As you grow and you get these defenses and these triggers and these habits, these are emotional habits that our system creates to keep us safe and to keep us from having to think too much about all of our emotional reactions or all the things that we do. And essentially we can imagine this as a map, as a mental map. Some roads that I build when I'm 2 or 3 are the very roads that I continue to use throughout my life as long as they continue to serve me, right? And the emotions that I had as a child, and then the emotions that I had as a 20-year-old, and these same grooves, these same roads within my map become almost, sometimes I like to think about them like riding a dirt bike in the desert, right? The grooves sometimes get so deep that it can be hard for us to pull out of that habit because we've been doing it so long and so often. We may not even be aware that that is something that we are still operating on until it starts causing us problems. So when I am an infant, I learn to scream and to cry and to wiggle my body to get my attention, to get my needs met, right? So I really have one road, 2 roads maybe, to get my needs met. And I grow a little more and I start to develop more skills, right? So then I use those to build new roads and to redo roads, right? If I was screaming and squirming when I was an infant, and then my caregivers at this stage start to tell me, oh, now I have to use my words. Oh, now I have to communicate clearly, not to ask for something instead of just grabbing it. I can't just push somebody. I have to be nice. Like then we start to develop these other tools. But what happens when you see the 50-year-old man in Lowe's having a meltdown because they have the wrong fittings, you can recognize that he is still operating on the 4, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old road that he built when his needs aren't getting met. He throws a tantrum. So when we find ourselves behaving in these habitual ways, especially emotionally, but also just any other behavioral habit, we can recognize that it is a road that was built most likely during the first 8 years of my life. It's old, it's outdated, and we can meet it with curiosity and ask it, how do we shift this? This is a big part of the work that I do in terms of parts work, right? Internal family system stuff. I have found it really, really helpful to envision each of my emotional selves, each of my habitual selves, each of my character, masks, ego selves, emotions, and whatnot as their own kind of character. Because when I do that, then I can envision them outside of me and I can say, oh, I am feeling angry right now. Not I am angry, it is who I am, it is part of my physiology, it's what it makes me me, it's permanent, it's forever, it's perpetual. No. The emotion rose in me, I can recognize, hi anger, welcome to the party, am I going to let you drive or not? We develop that skill through practicing mindfulness. We develop that skill by meeting ourselves every day, building trust, and so that our defenses start to slowly let down. And we can begin to have those conversations with ourselves. And the self begins to trust. You build that trust. You start to meet those emotions coming up. And the first few times it may feel hard. But if you say to that emotion, hey, hold on just a second. Let me carry you while we walk through, right? Now I'm the parent reparenting that younger part of myself, that emotion. Teaching that emotion that just because I have a little anxiety for going in the grocery store doesn't mean that I have to completely tuck tail and run or that I have to have a total meltdown. I can give that energy permission to sit in the back seat. That's not the same thing as denying or disassociating from the emotion. The early work was really, for me, putting it on my shoulder and saying, I know that you're afraid right now. Why don't you sit right here and I will be the adult and walk us through the situation. The more often I did that with anxiety or other feelings like that, the more often I do that with any particular feeling, the more willing, because I'm creating a new habit, the more willing that feeling is to sit back and listen and watch. And I begin to re-inform. I update that road. I update that part of me that's ultimately still stuck in 5-year-old, 2-year-old, 8-year-old operations. This is why this is like the big stuff that I'm here hoping to teach, hoping to convey, is how to do that parts work, how to recognize how that affects your energy and how your energy affects those things, how these personality things, how these ego characters, how we unintentionally weaponize our energy to get our needs met, and then how to reel that back in. Not going back. I'm happy to hear. Not dwelling on things you can't control. You feel lighter and springy. Yeah. Because tension is dense. Fear is dense, right? It weighs us down, literally. Pooty Toots, you love the internal family system. Found it a couple years into my healing journey. It's so powerful. Honestly, like, somebody asked what's the best thing I discovered, and maybe that was it. Maybe that was like meeting myself, but it was everything happens inside, and internal family systems is part of that recognition that everything has happened inside, which means that ultimately I can be responsible for everything in my life. And that actually is a kind of power that I would like to cultivate. Because then I'm not giving away my power. Then I'm not feeling powerless, right? And Ben, you're saying you do operate like that, but you say that emotion is still within you. My question then to you is, how do you speak to that emotion? How do you meet that emotion when it comes up? Do you meet that emotion with frustration? Do you feel like that emotion shouldn't be in your system? It can be hard sometimes for us to meet judgment without judgment, to meet fear or feeling powerless without judgment, because we want these parts of ourselves to be stronger, to be more powerful, to be more aligned, right? So we go, ugh, anxiety again, ugh, fear again, gosh, anger again. These are ways that we judge those energies. And as long as we judge them, we will create tension between us and them, and it'll be harder to integrate. If there is tension, we can't integrate. So again, this is a finite system. I have a finite toroidal field of energy. So all the energy in my system is a finite resource from my system. So if I am using my energy on these emotions or these triggers, I'm using my brain power on these habits, on these cognitive processes, that energy has to come from somewhere. So when I have road rage that pops up every single time somebody threatens does something stupid on the road kind of deal, I need to learn to repurpose that energy if I'm going to adjust that trigger. If I just deny the trigger every time and I tell it to be quiet and I'm frustrated with it and it's annoying that it keeps happening to me, I'm not really building a compassionate relationship with that part of myself. And you say, I never used to be angry when I was younger, but now I'm exploring myself and more and realizing how much anger I have inside of me. I'm not proud of it, but it's true. And so many of us hide those emotions because we're told you're not allowed to be angry, you're not allowed to be aggressive, you're not allowed to be loud, you're not allowed to say your piece, you're not allowed to set up defenses, you're not allowed to have boundaries, you're not allowed to whatever, right? There's a lot of you're not allowed to, which is why, again, I say our culture gives us a lot of these imbalances. Let's not blame the specific people. Don't worry about it. It's your culture that builds us these imbalances and causes us to compartmentalize certain emotions and certain expressions of self. Why? Because the system doesn't run on authentic people. You can't harvest authentic people in the same way, right, without their permission. In the same way that our system currently harvests our time, attention, resources, and all this through manipulation. So your culture is going to give you a lot of the imbalance. And that's so that it can thrive, so that it can operate, because it does not have an infinite source of prana. It has a finite source of prana because it is a finite system. And when I feel anger, I want to act aggressively even when I shouldn't. But the emotion tells me to act this way. I consciously choose to be calm, but I still feel it. So we can do the cognitive exploration, right? Depending on what works for you. But in exploring those things, I often will ask that emotion, right? Because you say right there, it says, the anger says, I want to act aggressively, but you shouldn't. Have you asked the anger, like, where that came from? Again, the part stuff, being able to talk to my anger and be like, I know you want to fight, but where the fuck is that fight coming from? Like, that's not appropriate for me to punch somebody because they cut me off in traffic or took a parking spot. Like, I understand that's what you want to do. But when we sit and give time to those emotions to actually communicate with us, you know, for me, anger was really about recognizing that there were a lot of ways and a lot of times where my personal autonomy, a lot of things, were abused, denied, pushed past, right? There was a lot of reason for anger. And even if you don't remember exactly the reason for anger, you can recognize that something during that time felt oppressive to such a way that your energy wanted to fight and push to get the fuck out of it. It is subtle. It is subtle. So doing things like, when that emotion comes up, holding space for it, seeing it there, but then adding the piece of being real gentle with it, of being real compassionate to it if you can muster it. I know letting go of the shouldn't, but instead being curious and saying, like, why? And not needing to know the why. I know that's a hard part too, because sometimes we ask why and we don't really get answers. So don't get stuck on the why, but hold the space and curiosity anyway, right? Cosmic Garden Dancer, how are you, love? Tyler and Badass Blind Woman, you guys both just echoed really the same thing. Tyler says, I feel like most friction comes from things not being the way we want them to be. And Badass Blind Woman goes, I've noticed my anger lies in the fear of not being in control. Yeah. So that fear of not being in control usually stems from a time when we were not in control, when we had no capability to be in control. And then oftentimes when further our authentic self was even shoved down, right? So we had to deny ourselves. We've talked about this in another life too. The processes of our culture, the way that we raise our children, and this is not meant to discuss, to bring about guilt or shame or anything like that, but we can recognize and look logically at the way that our culture denies us our truth, denies us our systems, right? We are taught to deny our energy. We are taught to deny our system. We're taught to deny our truth. And so our systems usually don't have a lot of control when we are very young. And that will continue to manifest as an energy signature. And that, again, is this piece of mindfulness, is to then cultivate the inner sense of control. I call it finding my inner captain. Because it's less about demand and force as it is about wisdom and presence. Inner power is not a forceful, tense force. Remember the mudra, the Abhaya mudra, that really well represents this? Lifting your right hand up to your shoulder, imagine, just in front of your shoulder, imagine that there is a gentle white light coming out of your palm, and out in front of you is this horde of angry mob of people, absolute pissed off, aggressive. They're coming for you. That mob is coming for you. All your fears, all the lack of control, all the aggression, all of the stuff that's scary in the world. Go ahead and lift that right hand up in front of your right shoulder. Close your eyes and know that as soon as you shine this light in your palm with quiet confidence, every single voice quiets down out there. Every single energy, every single bit of aggression is subdued. This is called the Abhaya Mudra. And I encourage you to sit with this for a few moments because it's a really powerful practice. This is why this is one of the ways in which visualization can assist us. We can embody that. We can practice being in this place of power. So when the fear within us or anger within us rears its head, feeling a sense of lack of control, when these things happen, we can close our eyes, hold the mudra, trust that we are capable of maintaining this kind of inner power, of cultivating this kind of inner power. And once that crowd has subdued, okay, now energy, now come on in. Now let's navigate. And then we build that inner locus of control. I regain control of my system when I learn to take responsibility for my system. Bop, my anger is me recognizing injustice against me and knowing I deserve better. I'm going to ask a question. What injustices are you committing to yourself? And what ways are you not giving yourself what you deserve? Are you denying yourself? Because if we get deep into it, everything is a reflection. Everything outside of me is a reflection of inside and vice versa. So if I perceive the world as out to get me, if I perceive the world as aggressive and attacking me and denying me my truths, I am very likely doing that, echoing that inside of myself. If I see judgment all over the place out in the world, then I'm very likely still judging myself. And this is how we gain that inner locus of control, that inner power. We cultivate that power by recognizing that everything really does happen inside of me. And when I cultivate the things, the alignment inside of me, the things outside of me start to align themselves. Again, thank you, friend, for the gifts. The biggest misnomer is to say all of your power is cultivated outside of you, is to say everything happens outside of you, is to say the only place that you can find discovery or healing or learning or connection is outside of you. You can only find love outside of you. You can only find happiness, peace outside of you. If you don't cultivate them inside, you will be chasing those things for the rest of your life. Because they don't exist outside of you. They exist within you, and then you can reflect, and then they're reflected back at you. It's pretty fucking cool. But also pretty fucking frustrating when we live in a culture that literally just turned us away from ourselves. You too, Mike. Love and light, my friend. Bill, pirates or monkeys? I mean, I've got a pirate crew, and those are my ego characters, but I also have mind monkeys who sometimes take over the ship and start chattering away. I mean, if you want to get real technical about it. I keep going back to that question, right? What's the best thing that I learned on my spiritual journey? It's this piece. It was also the scariest thing I learned on my spiritual journey, was truly taking full responsibility for myself. There's a video I did like just a couple years ago where the video starts out, no one is coming to save you. Because that's where I was at. No one is coming to save you. You, because you are the one that saves you. That's what Christ consciousness, right? That was the message there too. That exists within your heart available to you within your system, can flow through your system, already is flowing through your system. But our culture teaches us to hide it, to gum it up, to put our passion away in exchange for something more responsible. Responsible to the culture, not to the self. Self-actualized people can't be poked and prodded and manipulated in quite the same way that we can when we are in ignorance. When we are fighting to satisfy our basic needs through really shitty means, and we think that the best way to satisfy our needs is through the shitty means. Again, it's a huge misnomer. It's like, here, spend your entire life eating junk food. Half-ass energy. Fake satisfaction to your system. That's what we're energetically doing. Fake satisfaction. Just like literally the food and the fucking products and the shit out there in the world. Ottbot feels like society wants to extract our energy. This system, these systems that are currently operating, operate with your energy, from your energy. Social media only operates when you engage with it. If we all stopped engaging in it, it would stop operating. The economy works the way that it works when we engage with it and give it our resources and take resources from it and whatnot. But if there are people, if there are certain folks benefiting from a system in a way like they are now, right? Then they're going to want to perpetuate the system that's working for them. But it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable system. It's never been a sustainable system the way that it's operating right now. And the way that it's been operating. It's not a sustainable system. Controlling the masses is not a sustainable system. Denying people their authenticity is not a sustainable system. Again, we can look at like religious structures and whatnot, and the way that the religious structures even say, God says, stay here in Eden. Go ahead and stay here in Eden. I will take care of all your needs. Essentially remain in ignorance, right? Don't eat from the tree of knowledge. Don't learn anything new. Stay in your state of ignorance and you will remain in Eden. Let's consider that as an analogy. Remain in ignorance. And the system will take care of you, honey. Don't worry about it. The system will do everything you need. If you just remain in ignorance and let the system use you. Just stay here inside the box. Now, if you ask questions, if you want to learn something new and go explore somewhere else, you can't come back into Eden. Why? Because you can't unlearn shit. You can't unsee shit. It's kind of the nature of your brain, right? Again, as the analogy, it's talking about ignorance and enlightening the system. And when you begin enlightening your system, you can't unknow. You can't unlearn these things, so you can't go back to the bliss of ignorance. But the purpose was not for us to stay in Eden, in our ignorance, in bliss. Because bliss would give us no reason to grow, to learn, to connect, to discover. And there is, I will say that, there is an experience. If you choose to stay in your ignorance, you choose to stay in the Eden of ignorance, that is in its own experience to have. And that is, it's by itself, experience is valuable. So by all means, my friends, close the gates and stay, if that's what you would like. But I will remind you. I was going to say warn, but I won't warn you. I'll just remind you that there is another flow, right? There is a flow to the universe. There is even the illusion of a direction kind of thing of time to the universe. The Fibonacci sequence is the foundation for the way the universe grows and moves. What does it do? It is expanding. It is ever expanding and growing and evolving. So if you choose to close the gates and hide yourself in Eden, the longer you do so, the more tension will be created. This I like to think of as if you're growing out of it, right? Like you're in a box and you literally get too big for Eden. You get too big for your box because your system is wanting to grow and enlighten. Sorry. Carrie says Eve, the first ever overeducated woman. We could get deep into the analogy of Eden and the whole story of the Enlightenment and creation and how, we could dig deep into that one. But for the moment, really, I want to talk about Eden as ignorance, right? Eden as a choice that we have. But the flood still comes, right? Enlightenment, the temperature of the earth still raises up. And no matter where you are on the planet, if the whole planet is raising temperature or raising vibration, you're a part of it. And we are currently in a collective evolution. We always have been. Fernando, sorry, I gotta stop because you said, or first woke woman, and essentially waking up from ignorance. Yeah. Oh, Rhymes of sorry. Thank you, friend. Kari, got it. We can get deep into the symbology, but for right now, it's really looking at the collective evolution that we are going through. And to use another analogy, we talk about it like an ocean, right? We're all drops in the ocean. We're all part of the collective body. And every part, no matter what perspective you have, is part of the whole and is necessary. Whether you're a drop at the top of the ocean, all warm and ready to evaporate up into the sky, or whether you are a drop in the ocean and down deep in the midnight zone, super fucking dense and in total darkness. That's still all part of the whole ocean. And when the ocean temperature raises, every one of those molecules of water must raise too. Now, it's going to happen at different times. Pockets toward the surface or pockets over here or closer to land or other pockets in different parts of the world are going to start to warm up first. But you don't sit there and say that the drops of water at the top of the ocean are the best, most enlightened drops out there, and you don't condemn the dense, dark drops of ocean at the bottom of the water because you recognize the value of the whole requires all the different parts. And when we see that, we no longer condemn our own and other people in their ignorance. We no longer condemn ourselves and others in whatever choices that we make. Because we recognize that we each have our own path, we each have our own thing that we're doing in this lifetime, and we're all still part of the same thing. Authenticity is to accept myself and the other. Jay, that's an interesting statement. Women are in between man and beast, all with God. What does that mean? Women are between man and beast. It sounds like some kind of hierarchy thing, and that's definitely not something we do in here. I'm literally talking about how we all have different perspectives and are all equally valuable, and therefore none is better than the other, right? Adam is not better than Eve and whatnot. Regal poison. Literally walking on the beach, looking out at the ocean, listening to the ocean analogy. We want to be mindful of these statements that we're making, right? We want to be mindful of the way that we are compartmentalizing our truth and our lives. Am I operating out of ignorance? Are my words coming from a place of ignorance, or are they coming from a place of wisdom? Are they coming from a place of experience, or are they coming from a place of assumption? Are they coming from a place of having looked at various perspectives, having been weighed and balanced against many other things, or are they coming from a place of, well, I just took it at face value and this is the truth now? Side by side, horizontally. You know what my brain wants to do, Jay? There's a movie called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. If you haven't watched it, it's a fantastic cult classic. But in it, there is a song that they sing. It's called "The Origin of Love," and it's a great fucking song, great video, great imagery. You can go look that up on YouTube. But they talk about how once upon a time, it's the folklore, right? That once upon a time, people were connected together, back to back. You saw the play, Fernando. Oh my God. I would love to see it actually done live. So two people back to back, right? Some of them were male, female. Some of them were male, male. Some were female, female. And we essentially had our other half, right? Our solar, lunar, our balance, our yin yang of our systems. The duality that we experience now was actually we were embodying, right? As that we were embodying the unity. And then I think the story goes is that, these people became so self-actualized that the gods struck them down and used the lightning bolt, right, to split them in two. And so now this is why we always feel like we're looking for our other half, someone to complete us, why we have this longing to be with someone, right, this longing to return to. It's a beautiful song, beautiful imagery. The movie is called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Hedwig. It's a great story. Now, that exists within us. Yes, thank you, Fernando. I'm going to go ahead and pin you right there. That's the name of the movie. So instead of side by side, that's how I see these things, right? Is that in our duality, in the unity of our duality actually creates a whole nother beast, doesn't it? The gross nature of duality is to say day, night, right, left. That's wrong. That's my right. Is to say right, left. It's either day or night. It's either up or down. It's either a man or a woman. It's either gone or it's either empty or it's full. As we practice mindfulness, we learn to explore the subtle layers of reality. Yeah, I think it is Greek myth. Myth. Yes, thanks. Yes, Jay. Fernando, is there only one other half? For me, again, it's an analogy for bringing unity to the duality we experience within ourselves, right? The duality of the gross nature of duality. When we are young and our brain is when we develop, our bodies first learn gross motor skills. I learn how to swing my whole arm before I learn how to use my fingers accurately, right? I learn how to use my whole body before I learn how to tiptoe and balance, right? So this goes from gross motor skill to fine motor skill. Our perception can be considered the same way. When we are young, we see the world as black and white. We see the world as I'm asleep or I'm awake. I'm hungry or I'm not, right? I have to pee really bad or I don't at all, right? These are the kinds of ways that we perceive the world. Why? Because we are in ignorance. We are ignorant and uninformed, right, by our environment just yet. As I grow older, I learn the subtle difference between day and night and feeling tired. I learn the subtle differences of when my body cues me to feel hungry before I am overwhelmingly hungry. So we progressively become more fine motor skill, fine cognitive skill in our thinking if we allow it. Again, our culture encourages us to stay in that duality, to stay in gross cognitive skill, gross motor skill. We don't need to be finely tuned systems because we are only meant for gross purpose. Fodder for the culture. It is in the exploration of these fine layers that we eventually see the whole. Right? The analogy of the elephant, the blind men and the elephant. If I'm looking at the front of the elephant, and you are at the back of the elephant, I'm sorry, friend, I put you at the back of the elephant today. If I'm at the front of the elephant and you're at the back, we're going to have two completely different experiences. And that's gross motor, right? No. The elephant looks like this, and the other end of the elephant looks like this, and we have two opposing views, and both can't be true. It's either or. But in my discovery process, in my curiosity, and I can explore the in between spaces, between my perspective and that perspective, and then I can see the whole elephant. Jay, you say you think as a man it takes us long to read our feelings because feelings are in the other gender. I would actually offer that as a cultural confine. That's a cultural construct. Children have full capacity of emotional expression. Unadulterated, unabashed, right? Doesn't matter gender, how we gender them. What happens is when we gender them, we start treating them differently. And that's going to influence their systems, so their systems learn how to function and how to stay safe in this world. And we talk about that oftentimes from an energetic place, right? So as to talk about a gender stereotype, right, in our culture, our young boys, right? Boys will be boys. Boys can be rough and tumble. Boys can fight about things. Boys can run off and take things. Like, again, this is my personal experience of my culture growing up. Boys were allowed to play baseball. Girls are not, kind of shit, right? Boys can call somebody else, call a friend, no problem. Girls have to wait for somebody to call them. I don't know. All these sorts of stipulations that we had. Those things gave my brother the right to express his solar plexus energy, the right to have an amount of control, the right to vocalize his opinion. And for me, it caused that energy to deflate a little bit, to move away from my solar plexus because I was not allowed to do those things. But energy is finite, right? And I have a finite amount of energy. So this energy has to go somewhere else. And this energy has to come from somewhere else. So as a female, as a gendered female in this culture, I was taught to close this down and pull that energy up into my heart, because us girls, right, we're allowed to be emotional. We're like taught to be that way and to feel into our emotions. We're taught to hold space, heart space for other people. We're taught to be caregivers and take care of other people. So when we are gendered in such a way, oftentimes our culture will offer us this big open heart chakra. That energy has to come from somewhere, and oftentimes it comes from down here. My ability to get my needs met, my ability to interact with the world and state my peace, my sense of security and safety in this world. And that means that if you pull that energy up and at the solar plexus you get to be gendered as a male and you get to have a big solar plexus, then what happens is that the energy that goes further up is not as big, not as strong. You're going to end up with deficiency here unless that is also supported. In fact, a lot of stereotypical, right, gendering will cause the males to skip the heart chakra up into the throat chakra. Why? Because this is more of a masculine energy anyway. And so the culture says it's totally okay for you to be expressive in these places. But if you're the feminine, you're not allowed to be expressive in those places. But you're allowed to be expressive in these places or in these places. So in that way, our culture creates those gender stereotypes, and our culture creates the energy that operates within those gender stereotypes because of how we are taught to behave, to interact with, and to express our energy as children. And again, this happens when you're unconscious. Your brain is still in the theta brainwaves, which is the REM sleep state. So you're not even fully conscious while all this is happening, and your system is being like, okay, how do we do this? Am I safe? No? Fuck. Let me pull it up here. Can I get my needs met when I ask? No? Shit. Okay, let me pull it up here. Oh, now I can do something to get my needs met. Cool. Oh, now I have to take care of other people to get my needs met. Okay, cool. All my system is trying to do is to get my needs met and to protect me. Ben, I'm glad you're back. You're very welcome, Kay Reynolds. So Jay, I encourage you, and the same energy with who? I'm sorry, friend. Like, I almost have your username. I don't know if you're in here anymore, but you were talking about Shakti. I forget who it was talking about Shakti energy. Both energies are available within you. Both energies are available within everybody's system. It's just a matter of creating that balance, creating that alignment. Jay, I actually created a field away from self-care because it was feminine. What do you mean? Like you push yourself away from self-care, right? Because it's feminine. Cultural expectations. These are the cultural messages that get ingrained in our bodies because of our experience. It's the enculturation process. Everybody goes through it in their culture. But the culture, again, we have to look at the culture itself and ask, why would the culture deny us balance? Because it benefits from our imbalance. When I am off balance, I am not sturdy and stable, right? When I'm off balance, I am groping to try to get myself back into feeling balanced and safe. When I'm out of balance, I'm not feeling safe. I'm not feeling nourished. Jay, so for those of you where we're talking about this topic of gendering and talking about the energy that develops in our system as we are gendered and as our culture enculturates us and teaches us how to be that gender, there is a really great documentary. I believe it's still on Netflix. Somebody said they found it on YouTube. It's called The Mask You Live In. It's a play on the word masculine. The Mask You Live In. Masculine. It is a documentary. I encourage everyone to watch it if you're interested in this kind of concept. This has been a topic that's actually been really important to me, and one I have attempted to try to explore, but usually get a lot of pushback or a lot of fear, right, response. But as a mom now, this is really, really, really important. We have talked for many generations, maybe not many, but for a while now, for surely within my lifetime and before, about how our girls can wear what they want, do what they want, say what they want, they can have any career. We have been working towards expanding on the rights and privileges and freedoms, right, afforded to the female gender. In doing so, it is a good thing, it is a beneficial thing, it's an important thing, right, for us to do. And I also see where we're still neglecting our young men. And a lot of people want to go, hello, white male privilege, hello, dudes have privilege. I understand that our culture gives certain privileges to said gender, but that still means they are out of balance to operate within that gender. And we do a grave disservice to anyone when we teach them that they can't trust their emotional self, that they can't be compassionate to themselves, that they're not allowed to hug their friends anymore. This documentary goes through, it speaks to several different boys right around the ages of, I think it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, something like that. There's a huge shift that happens in our culture right around puberty. Boys, right, where you may have been able to sit with your friends and hug your friends before and cry when you fell down, all of a sudden, that's stupid, right? And you get condemned for it. You get belittled for it. That's the enculturation process. Fernando, have a great day. So Jay, you say you were made to be gay, and you didn't know what gay meant, really. It's too subconscious. Gay means I shouldn't be feminine, and it affected self-care. Yes, Violet, our Reiki, the mask, it's the mask you live in, not we. It's the mask you live in is what it's called. So it's used as an insult. The opposite gender is used as an insult. What divisiveness does that create? Us versus them, girls versus boys. The divisiveness is written into our daily habits and our stories and But when we are able to become aware of it and recognize that it is its own kind of programming, it's its own kind of message that is being fed to us and fed to us when we are unconscious, then it gives us the opportunity to look at, to examine it, the opportunity to decide whether or not these beliefs and values are truly in line with me, with my authentic truth, with what I really want for myself. And so, Jay, I ask, Do you want a trusting, compassionate relationship with yourself? Do you want to be able to practice self-care every day in a way that feels supportive and loving? In a way that nourishes your system so that you don't have to go seek that nourishment outside of yourself? Regal poison, that triggers my heart a little bit. Regal poison, you say, I will never forget the look on my brother's face when he was 10 and our dad refused to hold his hand. Hey, Kep, how are you? My brother and I are 4 years apart, and we were always really close when we were little. I'm the older one, and so he was my little brother and my favorite person in the entire world. But I watched him go through that same process. I watched him go from compassionate, kind, and gentle. He was the animal lover, right? He'd find lizards and bring them inside and try to take care of them, and he wanted to have different pets and things that he wasn't allowed to have and all this kinds of stuff. And if somebody hurt me or my sister's feelings, he was like, I'll protect you. And it was cute, right? Because he's 4 years younger than us. So it was like, ah! So, but then I watched, as in my own home and in movies and things and in school, he became gendered. More and more and more. He started to close off his heart. He started to become more aggressive. He started to be angrier. And he got a lot quieter. I remember him coming to me once because in my house it was so severe that my brother didn't even have to do chores. Girls did chores, right? My brother did not. My brother recognized that this was a problem and actually came to me one day and said, hey, can you teach me how to make something to eat? Because he's like 13, 14. Nobody had taught him how to cook. Nobody had encouraged him to learn how to take care of his space or even really his body that much besides go scrub yourself. And he came to me because he said in his little wisdom, he was like, I don't want to grow up to be some dude who can't even fucking feed himself. Right? He's like, how am I supposed to cook a beautiful dinner for a girl if I want? I think that might have been it, right? Puberty kicking in, and he's like, wait a minute. If I can't even make her a meal, I don't know. But it was really hard to watch, I guess. And I believe that we are finally getting to a place where it can be something that we can start to talk about, that we can start to hold space for, and that we can stop seeing our men as, oh, he's just privileged, he doesn't deserve any of my compassion. We have all been through the enculturation process, which has caused us to be divided, which has caused us to lose connection with each other and with ourselves. Literally created the narrative for us of us versus them. Created the narrative of divisiveness. My son is 8 right now. That's why this is really emotional for me right now, because my son is 8 and taking on the responsibility of trying to be a parent that truly lets him be whatever he chooses to be in the moment, but still operating in my own ignorance and my own enculturation. I intentionally went to school to study human development and wellness because I knew that I needed the tools. I intentionally went to therapy since I was a teenager so I could learn better skills within myself and communication and interacting with other people because I knew I didn't have those skills. But I can only collect so much information in this brain, and I can only put so much of it in there until I actually have to do the work. And when I'm actually in it doing the work, it doesn't matter what I read, because the knowledge that I have here is not as powerful as my body's understanding and knowing, right? I have to distill that information, let it filter through these triggers to rewire my brain and my map so that when I am interacting with my world, I am not operating from that place of ignorance. But again, I think that's a lifelong thing, to enlighten the system. I used to want to really badly get there and enlighten the system right away. But in doing so, I was actually pushing myself further away from it. So in reflection of that, in a very real life scenario, personal scenario, with my 8-year-old son, with the tools that I have, with the awareness that I've cultivated, I still know I'm fucking up. I still know I'm operating out of ignorance. But when I meet myself with curiosity, okay, see in a bit, Ben. When I meet myself with compassion, I create space for discovery, for learning, right? And I can't learn everything there is to know, but I can learn how to just meet the moment for what it is and accept the moment for what it is. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know. I can't plan the entire future. I'm not God, right? I can't see all of that shit going on. I am just an ignorant little human, right? We all are. And so it's almost a kind of misdirection too, a kind of misnomer to be led to plan my future way ahead and spend all of my time focusing on trying to determine and control my future, when a more powerful skill is to learn to meet every moment with curiosity and willingness to see whatever it is when it rises without having to know what it is before it rises. And to be able to meet it as it is. Got that root chakra. Jay, you are who you are and no one else. Exactly. We are who we are and no one else. And yet, I am also everybody else, right? We are equally ourselves and everyone else. Because everyone is reflecting back ourselves. But I'm realizing as I get older that we are all like children trying to navigate life. Our bodies just get older. Yeah. But what does your culture say? Don't be childish. You're so immature. Don't act like a kid. God, how old are you? Our culture condemns us for carrying that child nature. But it is the child who can meet the present moment with curiosity and and abandon, right? Be like excited about whatever it is that's coming. My brain just went like, yeah, like the little kid who gets up at 5:30 in the morning because they're so just high on life, excited about life. It is in that space, right, where I have fluidity. And when I recognize that there is value to that, then I learn to love that part of myself, and I can let that part of myself start to lead. So when I was young, as most of us did, we got the message that being childish or immature was bad. And so we matured ourselves and tried to act as responsible and adult as possible, as soon as possible, right? If that's the case, then there is a defense system mechanism set up in my body, in my mind, to keep my child self put away safely and quietly so that she doesn't disrupt my adult day. or my adult situation or my adult conversation, right? What am I doing? I'm judging and I'm compartmentalizing my inner child. I'm saying, you know what? I love you, but you're not actually welcome here. You're not part of this process, so you need to go away. You need to be somewhere else. You're not allowed to be here, which is only perpetuating the same messages that we got as children. And so those defenses are going to stay. And there's parts of you that are going to protect that inner child and keep that inner child safe until you quit judging it and pushing it away every time it pipes up. What about inviting that inner child to sit at the table with you? And if the inner child decides to blow bubbles in her milk, just let her do it for a minute. Right? This is how we reparent ourselves. To meet ourselves in the moment and to ask ourselves how our inner child can participate. And when we do that in real life, outside of ourselves, with our children, it gives our children huge permission to be present and to be welcome in the space and to be connected and part of the whole. But more of us get the message of, no, unless you behave a certain way, you're not allowed to be here. You're not allowed to be you, basically, right? Unless you behave a certain way, you're not allowed to be you. You're not allowed to exist in this world unless you behave a certain way. This world's going to punish you unless you behave a certain way. That's the worst of it. The world's going to punish you. Have fear. Hide who you are, because if you step out of line, there's consequences. Who decided they got to decide who we all were going to be and how we all were going to act and what was the best way to be a person? And who decided that such narrow parameters are suitable for every single person in creation? That seems a little short-sighted, doesn't it? It seems a little ignorant, doesn't it? One prescription for every single human. So I encourage you, if you feel like it, to start with just 5 minutes a day, meeting yourself as you are, holding space for whatever comes up, whether it's your inner child or some inner demon or frustration or fear or sadness. Start with just 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is pretty good. I think we all can manage 5 minutes, even if you just sit on the toilet for an extra 5 minutes, right? Like we can all manage maybe 5 minutes. Set your alarm for 5 minutes early and lay there with yourself in bed. Lay there for 5 minutes in bed as you fall asleep. I don't care where you put your 5 minutes. I invite you to start with 5 minutes every single day, meeting yourself exactly where you're at and allowing whatever comes up to come up. In this way, we cultivate a trusting relationship with ourselves, and we will start to be able to communicate with the other parts of ourselves. Figure out what our system really needs, what our authentic system really wants. And to let that lead us to our truth, to our authentic self. Your authenticity is already available within you. It's just usually hidden away and put away, discombobulated. You know, I follow all the angles of this experience, and everyone is saying exactly the same thing. Isn't that the beauty when we look from all angles and we recognize that it's just different facets of the same message, same system, same experience? It lifts us out of that divisiveness. It lifts us out of the imbalances that our culture gives us. Jay, you want to be centered? Is that what the statement is? Okay. I was actually going to give this practice yesterday during the live. I am going to close out the live here shortly, but I'm going to give one practice before I go because I wanted to do it yesterday and I forgot. Once I got off live, I was like, no, we didn't do the chakra breath. Okay. So, hold on. The pirates are discussing something. Okay. The chakra breath is a pranayama practice. It's a visual breath. It's a visual practice as well, and we use it to move the breath through the entire system, the front and the back, up and down, so the solar and lunar energies. Remember, your chakras have a front and a back, right? The system has duality in all these places. Solar being the front, lunar being the back. Solar is the right, lunar is the left. Solar is up and forward, lunar is down and back, right? So within our systems, all of these energies are available. The chakra breath helps balance those energies because we are intentionally pulling the breath through the entire system. We are intentionally pulling the breath through both the solar and the lunar channels. So this is a practice that you can do every single day. This is a practice that I actually wake up with, and if I'm feeling really out of alignment or I feel really out of balance, I will just do this practice again throughout the day. Most of the practice is the intention, is the visualization. But if you can't visualize, that's not an issue. Just set the intention, set the focus. And so what we do as we begin inhaling, we put our attention, and there's various ways we can do it, so I'll talk about those in a second. We put our attention on our root. And then you begin inhaling and you go up the root, sacral, solar, heart, throat, brow, crown, exhale, imagining the breath falling back down the back, touching the back side of the brow, third eye chakra, touching the back side of the throat at the back of the neck, the back side of the heart in the mid back, the back side of the solar plexus in the mid or in the upper back, mid back, back side of the sacral, the low back, and back to the root. And then inhale again, up. So there's several ways you can do this. In your mind's eye, you can visualize each part of your body. You can also visualize the colors. Red, they go in the same color as the rainbow. Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, light purple, right? So if you're not familiar with exactly where the chakras are, if you just visualize in your mind red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, all the colors together, and then back down, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Another way, if you're familiar with those pieces enough and would like to add a mantra, would like to add some Sanskrit, it's called a Bij mantra. There's a Bij mantra for each of the chakras. They go Lam, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Hum, Om, and Om. Again, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Aum, Om. You can find Bij mantra, stuff like that on YouTube. You can find a song that'll do this for you. So if you want the addition of that, I encourage you to go ahead and find one that'll just go through each of them for you. So this practice, again, up the front, down the back, up the front, down the back. If you ever feel inclined to explore the other directions, for example, up the back, down the front, up the back, down the front, I encourage you to do so. Bringing balance to our system, right? Even our lunar energy has a rise and a fall as well. Ben, how do I know all of this? So just briefly, for those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and your shenanigan shaman. I have spent 20 plus years in studying or working in the field of human development and wellness across the lifespan from a variety of different perspectives. I spent more than 12 of those years in college and doing workshops and studying various things from different modalities. Yes, I was born in Southern California and was raised Catholic, and for the first couple of years of my life was relatively just middle class. Then we moved to Mexico and continued traveling, and I have seen a good bit of the world. Some of my most profound experiences have been places completely unexpected, actually. The travel and those experiences have afforded me a lot of understanding. But it's actually the intentional research, the intentional looking for the connective pieces. Pirates. I'm the connective tissue. I'm the connective tissue. So I went to school, studied child development first. And then my mother got sick, and I went and studied to be a caregiver and took care of her and others in the neighborhood. Got my certification and such for that, and then went back to school because the things that I learned in child development were suddenly applicable in these weird ways at the end of life. So I went back to school and studied gerontology. I started making big connections, right, between things that were like off askew, things we taught our children to do or say or behave, or things that we thought were good in parenting, but then we knew in gerontology that at the end of life, if we did this to people's lifetimes, that it wasn't good for us. I was like, wait a minute, these people aren't talking. Child development and gerontology aren't talking. What the fuck? So I started to bridge my own gaps and studied psychology, philosophy, Ayurveda, yoga, religion, let's see, what else? Herbalism, nutrition, right? I basically was like, let's start to pull all these different things, and I'm going to start to link all these things together. It comes from the foundation of practicing energy work since I was a child. I was gifted my family's lineage because I was already practicing it, and then my mother taught me our family lineage of energy work. I later got the Usui Reiki practice, or whatever it's called, certification. Became an Usui Reiki master. But the foundation of how I practice and pretty much everything I do is informed by the initial understanding of our system and the initial explorations of why my system does certain things, and why when my stepdad was screaming did my gut twist up. I was really aware of these things, and so I was making connections between the things that were happening in my external world and the things that were happening inside my body, and vice versa. When I was really young, I was really confused with this idea of, wait, is that intuition I just felt that told me something was going to happen? Or did me feeling that fear cause the thing to happen? I had to answer that question. So the exploration that I have done, all of the explorations that I have done, truly were for my own alignment, for my own understanding, and out of my own curiosity. I always joke that this curiosity keeps this cat alive. It's actually why I don't have any degrees, is because I spent all of those years in university just taking the classes I really wanted to take and not doing just the stuff that they required for the university. So I have 100-something credits, more than any university will take at this point, and I'm not really concerned about the paper degree. What I wanted was this. What I wanted was the insight. What I wanted was the understanding. What I wanted was the connections and the way that these things weave together so that I could see the full picture. I was trying to see the whole elephant. And in school, they gave me this bit and that bit and that bit. It's okay, my dog. Come here. Good boy. Are they still sitting outside? Come here. Good boy. Oh, that does sound like somebody. Hold on. Hold on, guys. So, how do I know all this stuff? Because I had a fuck ton of questions. Because I wasn't satisfied by the answers that I was getting in school or from my parents or in church, and no one place really had the answers I was looking for. Sunshine, it's big work taking care of our parents. Farron, hey, friend. What's the family energy work like? Honestly, like when I do the, Reiki certification program, the understanding of energy is very similar. What Reiki did was offer a specific set of like hand positions and other things and prayers and symbols. Reiki has its, like, especially certain lineages have structure to them. In a way that my family lineage didn't so much. It was more the awareness of the fact that this energy does flow through us and that we are capable of manipulating it on our own and with intention. The first experiences of me doing this, honestly, was when I was a child, and my mother would say, I'd fall down and I'd bump my knee, and she'd go, "You can heal that yourself," right? She'd offer me the kiss, and then she'd put her hands on it. And then when I got a little bit older, she would ask, "Do I want the kiss or the hands?" And then she would have me put my hands on top of her hands, or vice versa, my hands on me and then her hands on top. And she would ask me, "Do you feel it? Can you move it?" And we would explore in the moment how to move that energy, how to warm that energy. We used to do practices like warming water in a bowl. I used to warm water in the pool. We'd get in bigger bodies of water and we'd hold our hands together and warm the water in between. So it was a lot of experiential exploration, experiential understanding of it. Kep, what was the answer for me? The answer, turns out, is that there aren't answers. There are answers, but they're still limited answers, and that every answer I find is still another limitation, and there's another question on top of it. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm a Virgo sun, so there's definitely an impulse and an energy that wants to find the answer, know the answer, and not have to worry about it anymore, right? Just, I want to know the answer, I want it to be right, and I want it, yeah. And that was its own rigidity, and that was its own ignorance, and that was its own limitation that I was setting on myself. As I've explored and as I've discovered, it just, again, opens things wider and wider and wider. And the wider the world gets, the more playful I can be, the more accepting and understanding I can be, because I recognize that what I really wanted, a singular answer, a singular truth, a static state of being so that nothing ever changed, is just simply not available. It doesn't exist in this reality. And the ones that I think exist are not full expressions of the whole. If I want to understand the whole, I can break it apart into all its pieces. But if I only look at the whole in all its pieces, I won't see the entirety of it. And again, right? This is how we stay in our ignorance, as our culture literally tells us, is to divide these things up and say that these things are different, and that if somebody's perspective is different than yours, then it is different and theirs is wrong, right? Somebody has to be right and wrong. But right and wrong in and of itself is more engagement in the story and more separation from the unity of the fact that if you and I are standing at two sides of the elephant, there's still a whole elephant. And we can argue all day long whether the face or the ass is the better part of the elephant. It doesn't matter. The whole elephant still exists. And somebody else is going to walk up and see us arguing about the face and the ass of the elephant, and they're going to see the side of the elephant and go, "You both are wrong. This is a fucking house." As long as we do that, we are continuing to engage in that matrix in this reality. And as long as we continue engaging in it, we are in the water and we cannot experience the whole. Then, random question. If I could completely quiet my mind, I'm talking, thinking, not talking, thinking nothing, would I have a fresh slate to build from? I think there's a misnomer about mindfulness and meditation, is that we have to have a quiet mind, or that a quiet mind isn't even the goal. When we approach meditation with a desire for a particular outcome, we miss the opportunity to allow whatever arises from us to come up. As we cultivate, right? So let's go the opposite way. Let's go the opposite way, because we're not starting from that quiet space. The practice of mindfulness, the foundation of meditation, the practice of mindfulness is essentially like this pendulum. The stillness, the moment of stillness, is when the pendulum is in the center. Now, if I'm not very good at centering my pendulum, if my pendulum is constantly doing this, which most of us are constantly swinging all over the place with our energy and our emotions and our things and everything, right? When I sit in mindfulness, and I listen to that inner space, all I'm going to hear is blah, 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 oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. So the practice then is for me to sit within that space and allow those things to happen. Yeah, my pendulum's going to pull over that way. And as soon as I realize my pendulum's gone off this way, I'm going to go, ooh, and I'll pull it back to center. And then it goes off this way and I pull it back to center. What does it mean to pull it back to center? I'm pulling back my attention to my intention. I align my attention with my intention. So my intention, so let's say in this meditation, is my intention is just, let's say it is to experience a quiet mind, or whatever your intention is, or just to be present with myself, whatever your intention is. There's your attention, there's your intention. And then I align my attention with it. Instead of fighting for the quiet space, I notice when it's not quiet, and I just return to my focus, right? I return to my intention. And if all I do, my entire practice, is bring my attention back to the intention again and again and again and again, I am still receiving benefit because I'm creating the habit within myself. The more I do this, the more of a habit it creates, and therefore my body and my brain will start to become familiar with this mindfulness space. And we'll go, oh, that's right. We're cultivating the attention. We're focusing the attention. I won't force my system to be quiet, but I can invite my system into the present moment. Because the disruption, the tension is almost always because my attention is somewhere outside of the present moment. Worried about this fear, with this thing to do, this emotion popping up, which is also rooted in other things, right? Most of us have our attention in all sorts of other places, and that creates turbulence in the mind. It creates surface tension, so that's what we experience as our consciousness, is all that surface tension. When we sit in mindfulness, we relax that surface tension of the conscious mind. And when we do that, shit starts to bubble up. Emotions, thoughts, worries that have been waiting to get your attention, right? Just like when you're falling asleep or when you're waking up in the morning, this space where we can kind of be in the dream time, kind of not, right? Where obsessive thoughts pop up, when our emotions or fears from the day pop up. It's because the conscious mind is quieting. Patriot Parkinson. You also connected to the Usui lineage. I think it is one of the more common ones that people are engaging in, but I think there's another one. I forget the other name. Jay, if a 5D object is here in 3D, could it be water? Isn't water the only thing that can be all three, right? Solid, liquid, and gas. Water is always returning to source. Hey, Lindsay. Water is always flowing through the path of least resistance to return back to the ocean. Our earth is made up of mostly water, 70-some%. Our bodies are the same percentage of water. I think there is a great deal to contemplate in regard to water. Again, I don't have answers. I only have understandings that I've received through my experience, and what might be true for me could be totally different for you. These analogies, I'm a storyteller, so the analogies and the visuals work a lot for me, right? So water is one of the things that I really like to use as an analogy for it, because again, we can look at if God is the whole, which means the ocean itself. We can all be drops in the ocean, and we will perceive ourselves as separate from the whole and from each other because we recognize the boundary of my drop. And it's going to be hard for us to see the whole when we are in the middle of it. So, why, can we prove God exists? Well, we're in the middle of God. Sometimes I like to think about it like humanity as a body, right? If my body represents God, then humanity and all of creation is everything that happens inside of my body. And the parts of my body, the cells in my armpit, might be arguing with the cells in my right ass cheek about how the world is very fucking different, right? And my eyes might be arguing with my brain about these things too. And it's going to be hard for any one of my parts to be wise to the whole, because it is inside the thing that it is trying to perceive. The parable of the twins, right? The twins living inside the womb asking, does the mother exist? I mean, I see that the mother nourishes us, right? The mother takes care of us and keeps us safe. And then when the infants have outgrown the womb, oh no, all this fear. What if there's not, what is life after birth, right? What is out there? What if mother doesn't exist? What if we're just ejected into the nothing, right? Oh gosh, oh no. Because to be within the thing is to remain ignorant of not be able to see the entirety of it. The infant, the baby in utero, cannot see the mother, does not know of the mother, except in the interaction and experience of the mother, until it's literally birthed into a new reality and then can see the mother. Birthed into another body. Yeah. JPS, oh, thank you, sweetheart. What flavor is my cookie? It is a like oatmeal flax cookie with little chocolate bits. It tastes kind of like, it just kind of tastes like oatmeal, but drier. I'm not a big fan of sweet stuff. I can't do it. It fucks up my system. Doesn't feel good. So it'll take me all day long to eat that cookie. To be inside two places at once, Jay. To be inside the layers of reality. Like those nesting dolls, right? The doll on the inside of the nesting dolls cannot perceive of the outside dolls. And sometimes the outside doll cannot perceive of all the layers within, especially if it is taught not to look within, not to communicate with the other parts of self, but that everything it sees is existing in the outside world. And there is our human experience. To be the outer layer of the nesting dolls. And to be told everything inside of you is imaginary bullshit. Don't look at it. Great misdirection. Regal poison. Honey? I love honey. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know. I tried to turn off this thing because I have not yet had a single person actually message me to go live with me. If you want to go live with me, send me a message. Let's chat about it. We can find a time to do it if it's something we want to do. I'm happy to go live with you if you've got a platform and whatnot, but I don't battle, guys. JPS, I swear you blew my mind. What you were just talking about. Good. Careful, right? Because there's things you can't unlearn. There's things you can't unknow. Maybe the space should come with a warning. Like, potential mind expansion up ahead. Beware. Be mindful. Hi, Lisa. Artsy fartsy, don't get hair, you can catch cancer washing it, wear a wig. What? Guys. Thank you, Uzazu. Again, like, so this is something that, like, when I was much younger, I was much more fucking serious about this. In fact, so I am exploring, personal thing, I am exploring some health concerns right now with my doctor, with a new doctor. I finally have a primary care provider who's actually on my fucking side. It's amazing. But she told me that some of my records from quite a while ago, that the doctor who wrote those records made a note and said, Deborah is a very tense young lady. Uptight, tense, something. I think the word was tense. And I was like, I laughed and I was like, oh, that was totally me. Abso-fucking-lutely. Fucking tense as hell. And it literally caused me chronic issues in my body. Because for me, it was a matter of safety. For me, that energy in fear and in fucked up shit that I went through and all this stuff, right? Pulling it up and up and up and up and up. Even this was a hard place to be. So I pulled myself way the fuck up here, which has its own fucking pitfalls, right? I was studying psychology and philosophy and reading about these things and asking these questions before I went to college and in therapy and stuff like that. And at a certain point, I couldn't fucking relate to my peers anymore because I was reading things and searching for answers that my elders were looking for. I was so hell-bent on trying to evolve as quick as possible because being ignorant was dangerous. Falling in line and being part of the culture was dangerous for me. So I pulled that energy way the fuck up here and went searching for God and searching for answers. So much so that I literally pulled my body up too. Holding tense my pelvic floor so tight, dealing with things like constipation on a regular basis. So, holding so tight, my whole body, every part. Again, culturally too, taught as a girl, right, to tuck my belly in. So now I'm holding this energy in here, I'm holding that energy here, I'm holding stiffness up here in my shoulders because of all the message of stand tall, stand, put your shoulders back, right? So you're looking at this motherfucker, walking through life. I'm gonna figure things out, I'm gonna find all the answers, I'm gonna fix it for everybody, and I'm gonna heal the world. I have to. I have to. And the truth is she was just really afraid. I keep coming back to that question that was asked earlier, what's the best thing that I learned on my spiritual journey? And because the answers keep coming back up differently. Grace. Learning to give myself grace. I wanted to. I thought I could literally save the world. And my mother didn't help. She gave me some fucking ego complex too, especially with the energy work stuff. She was like, you are meant for something great. So I denied myself playfulness and curiosity and silliness and nourishment and love. Because the faster I could get there, the safer I would be, and the safer the world would be. In deep explorations with Christ, I used to sob and ask him, how do you carry this? How do you carry the weight of the world, the suffering of the world? And I used to argue because the message I got was, it's not yours to carry. And I said, but it is. But nobody else is doing it. But nobody's saving the world. But nobody's carrying it. Look at how terrible and dangerous and scary the world is. Look how many people are suffering and I have to... Grace. Grace is a kind of freedom. Jay, that's what we're always doing. You said it's like making the world safe for you. We are always trying to make the world safe for us, for ourselves, for our systems. Our ego manifestations are always trying to protect the vulnerable parts of ourselves. And what's vulnerable? My inner child. My emotions, my feelings, my truth. Feral farm, always tense and anxious. There. Over there. It was just actually 5 years ago, maybe now, that I got diagnosed with neurogenic thoracic outlet syndrome. I was experiencing so much pain that I had to stop working. The reason I am doing this now as my career is because my body literally forced me to stop doing these things that I was doing. Overworking myself, right? Putting all the weight in the world on my shoulders still. But it was even just a year ago, where I committed to the daily practice. It took time to get down there, right? But to get to the daily practice, where every single time I felt tension in my neck, in my shoulders, in my jaw, I would intentionally relax it. And the more I do this, the more aware I become. Remember that my attention is something I cultivate. And if I'm not used to paying attention to my system, my system is very, very likely out of alignment and possibly really tense. It's a defense mechanism. I'm protecting my energy. I'm protecting my body with tension. To literally hold boundaries, to literally keep the things inside, or to keep the world out. So I invite you, whenever you find that tension, really set the intention, give it your attention, and meet it with curiosity, meet it with willingness, and give it your good graces and say, I love you, it's okay. I love you, you're okay. You're safe. And when the voice in your head says, no, I'm not, hold space for it. Put your hand on your heart and say, I hear you. I know it doesn't feel that way, but let me show you something different. This is, again, how we reparent ourselves. Kuditoots, may you ask, how old was I when I began to intentionally relax? I know this is repeat for some of you who've been around for a while, but I continued these habits of stress, of high tension, of overworking myself to try to fix everything, taking all the responsibility on me, weaponizing my energy, trying to make people, force people to take care of them so that I could force them to love me, like these kinds of energetic things, looking for security in places where people were too aggressive and more controlling because I didn't have my own sense of confidence, operating from all of my imbalances. Again, I had the information. I already had the books and the lessons and the classes and the certifications. But the information doesn't change anything. Understanding does. And how do we understand the information? Is we integrate it into understanding. We integrate it into our systems. So, after some events in 2021, they may have been 2020 and 2021, where I essentially nearly lost my life several times over. I had a minor stroke, thank God, and 2 seizures. A variety of other things. I don't need to list all of the things that occurred. My system still holds this trauma in there, and I'm still filtering through this, sorting it out, and realigning my system after that experience. But what I can tell you is that the place that I was in when I finally left that situation was deep, dark, shame, guilt, horrible CPTSD symptoms, so much fear. And honestly, I didn't want. Every day I woke up and it was a fuck. I was in a really, 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 really hard place. A really dark place. I felt like I had absolutely nothing left. Hey, Zach, my friend. But it was in that place of having nothing left that I finally gave myself permission to try something else. And I started acting with radical compassion. I was so broken. I didn't even want to do self-care. I couldn't half the time shower myself, feed myself well. I was drinking heavily, smoking heavily, probably trying to off myself, right, through those means. Angry at myself more than anybody else. And also desperately wanting revenge on the people who hurt me. And that was 2022, I think, when I left. Early 2022. 2021, 2022, I forget now. That's when I started meeting myself every day. I made a commitment to myself every day. I knew I had to do something, right? But I had no resources. I mean, I had all the knowledge, but I had no ability to employ those practices when I really needed them. So I brought out my mat. And I left my mat out so that every day I would come to my mat and I would spend 15 minutes on my mat, on my yoga mat. Now, don't get it wrong. I didn't do yoga for weeks. But I every single day showed up to that mat, and for 15 minutes I held space for whatever came up. I screamed, I cried, I stomped, I threw tantrums, I bitched, I yelled. And then I stretched. And then I'd lay down. And then I'd breathe. And then I started to do a little bit more yoga. And then I started to visualize a little bit. And then I realized, then I started to see these things offering me relief. Wait, what? I was barely even using the more complex tools that I had. The consistent thing that I was doing was just being there with me and accepting whatever came up. That, all by itself, was releasing tension. Was offering me even moments, yes, but growing moments of peace. Slightly more time in between the trigger and me screaming. And like I always say, when you have that spark in the darkness, the spark of awareness in the middle of a habit, my friends, grab hold of it, throw your lasso, take that, because that's the way out of the tunnel. If you are in a habitual habit, a behavior that keeps repeating, and at some point, whenever you have that awareness, whenever you have that moment and be like, fuck, I'm doing it again. Damn it, I know this trigger. This situation. When you have that awareness, capture that light and let it guide you out. We move ourselves out of darkness, not in leaps and bounds and by breaking down all the walls, but by taking little steps in each moment. Grasping those little sparks of light in each moment and bringing them into our heart to remind us that light exists even in the dark. And I had just started this channel. I didn't post a lot, but if you want to see me at that time, if you want to hear me at that time, you probably have to spend several minutes scrolling through my content all the way down to back then. You'll see her. Then you say, I'm sorry you went through what you've experienced. I used to be too. I am not now. Even, and that's a really big thing. Ask me that a year ago or a year and a half ago. I don't know. Whew. That's a really big thing because there was an external thing. I was in a relationship with somebody who, him and his family members were actively gaslighting me, to the extent of like a cult-ish sort of thing. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't need to resurface those things. But what I was so angry about was in all of my education, in all of my understanding, right? In all of my knowledge, I thought, how did this happen to me? How did I find myself in a situation where I was so extremely manipulated and misled to the point where, again, it nearly took my life? And for all intents and purposes, anybody who knows that actual story and the bits of that story, most people say it's justified, but it's not, because it creates more tension. And me getting revenge, anybody getting revenge on somebody else, does not acknowledge the personal responsibility. You do more for yourself when you take responsibility for how you got there, rather than attacking the person for what they did, because they're operating in their ignorance, they're operating in their misalignment as well. And you can't control anybody outside of yourself. You can't really change the world outside of yourself until the most profound way to do that, this powerful way to do that, is by changing this. Hey, Zark. It's okay. I hope you got my text messages, and I was just worried, hoping you're okay. We can absolutely reschedule. Just send me a message. Pretty Toots, as if you're speaking my story, I was diagnosed with CPTSD around 2008, 2019. I went, like, when I was in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and PTSD. I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was diagnosed with a variety of other things that really were just like Band-Aids for, we don't really know what's wrong, but clearly you're not healthy, so let's just feed you some different medications and see if it works. My body felt like it was literally attacking me. But again, it was tense. It was me holding so much of that inside. Ben, you say that by you sharing your past with us is so supportive for you. I know that I can heal my hurt as well. That's why I share, and that's why, so, you know, yeah, I have certifications. Yes, I went to school for 12 plus years, right? Yes, I've got the professional experience for these things. But in this space, it's more about me sharing the process, because you can go in a book and collect this information, right? You can go look up mudras, you can go look up mantras, you can go study yoga, you can get your own certification. And I did all of that stuff. And I know that a lot of people do that stuff. I feel like the world is overrun with yoga teachers. Maybe just the West. But it wasn't until I actually put it into understanding, until I actually integrated it into practice and understanding in a way that was committed in a different style than I was ever taught. And that's, I mean, it wasn't until my meditation training that we really talked about sadhana, daily practice, and what that means, and building trust. And again, I was like everybody else who said, I can't do something every fucking day. That's annoying. I don't have time for self-care. Turns out, that was exactly the thing that was keeping me from the quality relationship with myself that I wanted and needed. That self-care was exactly the thing that was keeping me from loving myself and searching for that love outside of myself. That was exactly the thing that was making me feel lonely and powerless. I regained all of that when I started going with it. And when I started truly letting go of the need to control or to change the world outside, I found my captain. After years of having a pirate ship of all these different ego characters and trying to figure out where the captain, the higher self, is, I found my captain sitting in the back of the mind waiting for me. And I was pissed. You've watched me struggle for all of these years. You've watched me fucking toil and suffer for all of these years. And you couldn't come out from your fucking room just to say, hey, let me help you guide this way. I always really struggled to hear my higher self. Why? Because I was so busy with other things, with tension, in my ignorance, with what I thought I could do, with push and pull and fight with the universe. There is a difference between force and power. And we live in a world that encourages force and tells you that force is power. I have experienced different. It was in engaging in force that I kept myself in struggle. It was in cultivating power that I no longer had to use force. And I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still using force in some ways, and I'm still ignorant in plenty of ways. I'm still learning and growing and evolving. So yeah, I might have those certifications and those experiences and those understandings, but I'm here to share the story. I'm here to share what's worked for me, and if it works for you, I hope it plants a seed that grows into something big and beautiful. If I could pluck out of my heart this feeling that I've been able to cultivate within me over just these few short years, I would absolutely give it to you. If there was a supplement I could give you that was like, here, or there was a psychedelic that I could give you that would make you feel it, hey, this is what it looks like, I would. But that's the old me. That's the me that weaponized my desire to heal other people. That's the me that tried to force people to do their own work and their enlightenment stuff and whatnot. And now I recognize that power only comes from within you. Only you can cultivate that inside of you. And ultimately, you are the only one who can do that. Elishana, is that I say that? Elishana? Elise Hannah? You say that there's a woman on TikTok who says we integrate into other people's personality because we're scared. I mean, I generally agree with the general statement. Yeah, I mean, we talk about imbalances and how we align ourselves with each other and engage with each other's energy because of our imbalances. I would probably expand the statement just to include more than just scared. We do it for safety. Not because our systems are scared, but because it's how we've learned to defend ourselves. Hey, Lady B, what does my routine of self-care look like? You have a hard time making the time. When I did sadhana, it felt draining to do so many things. So my sadhana is a very brief practice. I have a daily, mine is 15 minutes. I spend 15 minutes with myself. Usually, right, my commitment is 5 minutes. I usually spend 15 minutes with myself reliably every day. And then I also come back to that practice several times throughout the day. But my foundation, the commitment I have made is that 5 minutes is the bare minimum. I have to at least show up for 5 minutes because those 5 minutes can just be listening to my breath and with my hands on my heart. I really, again, believe that when we set ourselves up with a bunch of these parameters and a bunch of these requirements, and only if we go through all of these, jump through all of these hoops, are we going to develop a relationship with ourselves, we are creating tension that keeps ourselves from that relationship. But instead, when we invite that relationship by being curious and willing and flexible, we create space. Again, I understand that there are people who believe that the only way to get somewhere, or the only way to get to enlightenment, or the only way to get to self-actualization is through their route. And yoga is no exception. right? There are people who are in this field who believe that there is only that way to get there. So, Lady B, I encourage you to make the commitment, make your sadhana what suits you. That's what it is. It's your daily practice. It's your personal practice. Make it yours. Let go of the expectations that anybody else has, or you believe anybody else has, or that you had for yourself. And start simple. Set yourself up for success. And if you build on it, great. But you'll never miss it, right? If it's just a few minutes. Like I said earlier, you can sit on the toilet for an extra 5 minutes if you really need to. Generally, we can all fit in those couple, right? And then, Lady B, trust that your practice will build, right? This is what's happened with my practice. And sometimes my practice becomes a longer practice. Sometimes my practice shortens back up. Again, I am not a static being, neither are you. And so life, this is a dynamic life. Things are going to change. They're going to have an ebb and a flow. Different seasons are going to feel different. Different energies, different ages are going to feel different, right? Different places I'm living. If my sadhana is exactly that way every time, and I don't allow for any variation of reality, then again, I am creating rigidity, and that rigidity denies me flexibility. Pootie Toots, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, was the one that nailed into my head. I used to try to give people fish. I'd force them. Let me teach you how to fish. Let me teach you how to fish. Here, let me just catch fish for you. Fuck it, I'll just catch fish for you. So desperate to heal other people. Desperate for healing myself. Love you too, Lady B. Feral Farm, I like it. Listening and painting, integrating those things into the body. Ben, you say you experience bliss, peace, and love quite a lot, but you're addressing the pain that arises, and you submerge yourself to better understand myself, feel the emotion, and replace it with a belief that better serves me. That's the layers. Right? That's the layer work. That's the parts work of meeting each of those emotions as they come up, giving them permission to be, right? Just because I give my sadness or anxiety or anger permission to be here doesn't mean that that I'm going to let it drive the ship, right? Me and my captain I'm the first mate. I'm the first mate. I have a captain. I'm the first mate. And so I'm the one who goes between the ego selves and the captain. Most of us have allowed our ego selves to drive the ship in lieu of the captain, right? Many of us have ego selves that have popped up and said, no, I'm the captain. And in our ignorance and in that ignorance of ego, we are misled again and again, and we keep crashing our ship into the rocks again and again and again and again. Oh, the universe is out to get me. When we start to do this exploration, when we start to do this work, hi Astra. When we start to do this work, it's important for us to develop relationship with those ego layers so that we can be the first mate, be a good first mate to the captain. The ego layers, ego selves, they are not communicating with the captain. They don't have the maps. They don't know how to navigate. They just know how to keep the ship safe. Sometimes not even that, right? I think we all have pirates who try to sink the ship too. I think that's a lifelong process of discovery, of uncovering different aspects of myself, understanding the energies that manifested those ego aspects, and then learning how to put them to use, put them to work in a way that's actually productive. So again, the imagery of having a pirate ship, right? Before I found my captain, before I figured out these different parts of me, those pirates would grab the wheel and run us ashore, or mutiny would ensue and I'd lose all ability to fucking function, right? Like, but cultivating a relationship with these different parts of myself, learning to speak to them, learning to put them to work in a useful way, right? My type A person here, my negative self-talk, is a protective measure. So if it's protective and it's so concerned with all the rules and the parameters, I have a job for you. Let me give you a good job to do that'll work for you, instead of you bitching at me all the fucking time. Turns out, my negative self-talk was actually my biggest cheerleader. It's the part of me that was concerned with me being perfect and great. And I can repurpose that energy to be the part of me that says, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Look at you. Repurpose that energy. Cade, your ego captain can be costly. And ultimately, the truth is that, right, we still operate within our ego selves. There's nothing wrong with the ego. What's imbalanced is when the ego is out of balance and is misusing its energy. If I get an ego part who says he's the captain and is really not, and is actually, yeah, it's going to continue to lead me astray. Squam, shadows can become a gift. Yes, it's important to recognize, again, this is a finite system. And that finite system has a finite amount of energy, which means the energy that I'm using, somebody said it earlier, right? Like tension takes a lot of energy to hold your muscles like that. We often use a lot of energy through our ego expressions. And when we meet those energies, balance those energies, then we can transmute all of that wasted energy into something directed and intentional. And this, again, is how we start to cultivate that power. With intention and attention aligned with my truth, with my values. Then do I make truces with my pirate crew? Early on, I had to make truces. I had to do a lot of negotiating. I felt like I was negotiating with terrorists. Like, the unkempt ego selves can be quite aggressive. Yeah. Some of it was scary. But I started to recognize that the demons that we experience within us are mispurposed energy of ego. Lady B, you said great analogy. I swear your imagery of always turning your car in a hard left and hitting a wall saved your 7-year relationship. I'm so grateful that that analogy was helpful to you. This is the stuff that has genuinely offered me my healing, offered me the space to find peace. No. The space to realize peace was already here. The space to realize love and security and nourishment were already here and already available to me. It's that I was leading myself. Ego was leading me away. And in my ignorance, I allowed ego to continue to lead me away from my truth, my purpose, and wholeness. So gather your crew, pull them all in, and start doing this work. So again, one of my favorite practices, and I am going to go here because I do have a coaching call. I do have a meeting here in 15 minutes. So one of my favorite practices for meeting the different parts of self is a two-handed journaling practice. So the journaling practice goes like so. You use your right hand to stream of consciousness. Go ahead and let yourself just scribble on the page, even if it doesn't look like words. Do not stop. Do not use grammar. Just let it go and go and go, and ask yourself, right? Whatever it is you want to discover, whatever it is you want to talk to, if it's a different part of yourself, if you want to ask your, low back why it hurts, or you want to ask your ego why it always does that stupid thing, whatever the hell it is that you're working with that you want to know. Use your dominant hand to write that out, perfect or open stream of consciousness. When you hear a response of any sort, use your non-dominant hand to allow that to write it out. Yes, it's going to take more time. I know that you don't write well with your non-dominant hand unless you've already practiced or unless you're ambidextrous. That's okay. That's part of the process because it forces you to give it more time and attention as you're working with your ignorant hand here, enlightening, right? Practicing the expression of the subconscious. Hey, Elise, is the captain like a receptionist who screens the calls? No, my captain is the higher self. My captain is the one with the maps. My captain knows the larger, right? Then my captain is familiar with the ocean. My captain has been on several navigations. When I talk about my captain, I'm talking about higher energies of self, higher consciousness, super conscious states of self, or tapping into collective consciousness kind of stuff. My captain is the relay maybe between divinity and my ego characters. I'm the first mate, so I go between the captain and the ego characters. But my captain is still a manifestation of me. You could call it an oversoul, maybe. Super conscious. The captain is the wiser one. I have an ego character that is the one who screens calls, right? Calls from other ego aspects. So that practice for talking to your inner selves of any kind, dominant hand writes the stream of consciousness. Non-dominant hand writes the responses. I encourage you to do this more than once and to keep a specific journal for it. This is how I discovered all of the different facets of me and started to have real relationships with them, real conversations, real communication with these parts of myself, and honestly discovered some things that I don't think I would have, don't know if I would have ever found them out, right? Okay, so before we close, if you want to continue talking about this kind of stuff or exploring this kind of stuff, come join us in the Discord. There's a link to join the Discord. It's totally free to join the Discord. The link is in my bio. It's on Linktree at Move with Change. I am on Patreon at Move with Change. What else? The link to get in the Discord is totally free. If you would like to work directly with me, I have several options for that. I do offer coaching, private coaching. We do group coaching as well, and I offer coaching by donation. However, thank you, Lady B. However, I am very limited on the number of people I take in for coaching because my time is very valuable to me and to my son. So in general, come into the Discord, engage with the community. If you want to work directly with me, let's explore that. Sorry, hold on. Ben, you're asking, is speaking my truth that supports duality unbeneficial? There's the potential for benefit, right? I want to go deeper and ask, like, what's beneficial, what's not? Is it a belief in duality that serves you? And if it's a belief in duality that's serving you or creating a sense of security, which is serving you as well, then there's no wrong about it. Remember, there's really no right or wrong. It's just what's working for you or what's not working for you. And we can trust that when we clear away the things that are not working for us, the next layer of things that are not working for us are going to come through. So instead of focusing on, should I correct everything right now, just focus on the things that aren't working for you. And other things will start to fall in line. Or other things will surface when they need attention. Again, I'm talking about cultivating inner relationships and power, not by force, right? Not by going and chasing these things down, not by forcing myself to change my language or change my behaviors or have a huge sadhana or meditate for 15 hours, right, every week or whatever it is, but just meeting myself with curiosity, doing what I need, what I can for my system now, cultivating a sense of trust, and creating the space for whatever needs to happen to come up. And that's being present. right? Is cultivating that ability to be flexible enough in the moment to just meet the moment where it is. Feral Farm, you have a great night too. Suicide Awareness Month? I don't know what that is. Stuffed up. All right, my friends. Let's see. So Discord, private coaching. We are doing this 40-day Kundalini Kriya. If you would like to get the journal that goes with it, the Kundalini Kriya, it is on my Patreon page. We are doing the Kundalini Kriya at 10 a.m. every single day, Pacific time, 10 a.m. And you can start whenever. The playlist for it and all of my replays for these classes are on YouTube. I am Move with Change on YouTube. I am Move with Change on all the platforms, all the places you hang out. But I really only hang out on TikTok and in Discord. I do engage with the content on other places, but if you don't hear from me for a while on places like Instagram or X or whatnot, it's because I really just don't want to go there. If you sent me a friend message on, like a friend request on Facebook, I probably never clicked it because I don't even want to be on Facebook. So, Diana, happy birthday. Thank you. It's on the 9th. It's almost here. If you're up at 9, you'll be here. Awesome. Last question, Ben, is having an ego bad? Nope, your ego is your ally. Your ego is your pirate crew. Your ego is your team. Your ego is your, it's your team. These are your allies. These are your closest supporters, biggest cheerleaders, biggest fans, right? Ego is actually important. It's how we interact with this world. It's how we interact with this world. So again, to deny any part of the self is to say that that energy is not available here or not welcome here, and then that energy has to be either compartmentalized and pushed away or repurposed. So we don't just cut off ego. We learn to redirect the energy in a way that's helpful and supportive for our wholeness, right? Yes, Leb, thank you. Your ego is your self-experiential mechanism. Thank you, guys. Lots of love. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing, and I've got a coaching call. Oh, in the Discord, we are streaming tonight. We do stream from some cool platforms and whatnot in the Discord, so come into the Discord. Also, I just discovered that if you boost the Discord, apparently we get better streaming service. So if anybody feels like doing that, come on in. Dog needs my attention. The kid probably needs my attention. I need my attention.
Oh, the scritches. Oh, your poor unfortunate dog. Is it sad? But true.
He's a never-ever pet. Never ever snuggled. But do I love him? Yes, I do. Okay, all right, now bye. I guess I could have turned things off before I was doing silly things like that. All right, my loves. Good night, Twitch. Good down dog. Yes, you boy. Good night, Kick. I love him. I love him. Good night, Instagram.